You're looking live at the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, where Midas presents NASCAR Busch Series Racing. The closest championship race in NASCAR takes another step towards its climax today. Any one of 5 drivers could lead the standings after a 300-mile event, a race that features a star-studded field, a very fast and unforgiving track, and Wally's World at top speed. The green flag waves in just moments. We go right to the grid now, though, with the championship story. Here's Dave Burns.
And Brian Vickers is that championship story. He leads for the first time in his young career. Brian, can you win today and extend that lead over these guys?
I hope so. I tell you what, GMAC crew has done an awesome job all weekend. To be honest with you, we've had a lot better cars. We've had a lot worse. So this is one of them days where we're going to do the best we can, like we do every week, and try to be there at the end. But hopefully we can get a little bit better during the race and come out with a win.
He'll have some work to do starting inside row 9. So Marty Snyder.
Well, Dave, in this historic battle for the Busch Series Championship, just 32 points separate Brian Vickers, the man you just talked to, and this man, Scott Riggs. Scott, biggest key to winning the race today is what?
Track position by far. Everybody's got pretty good cars and everybody's pretty equal. I feel like we've got a great car here on the Nesquik Ford, but track position is going to be what wins this race today. Tires are holding up really well, so I think you're going to see everybody using the gauge to actually gauge their gas mileage to decide when they need to pit. And whoever can have the best track position all day and keep themselves out front and be out front at the end is going to be the man to win.
In this race last year, Scott Riggs led the most laps. Matt Yoakum.
Well, in 2003, Wally Dallenbach has a new team and teammate in NASCAR Busch Series competition in his bid for his first Busch Series victory. Wally, you're going to have to go to the back due to an engine change. How do things look?
Well, we're going to have to try to get through the slower cars as quick as possible, just because I know the leaders are going to be coming. We don't want to get a lap down. So hopefully the car's good enough to where we can weed our way through. And if we're way off, it's going to be tough because we'll get lapped quick.
What about a second groove? Do you feel like one will work in?
So far it's pretty much one groove. I hope 2 grooves work in. You really got to get the cars down on the bottom to hook around these corners. So hopefully we'll see that second groove.
Wally will drop to the back looking for his first Busch Series victory, Alan.
All right, Matty, while Wally races, who takes his place in the booth? We'll give you a hint. It's the driver who won the pole for tomorrow's race. First, we go trackside.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department Color Guard present our nation's colors. Now, please welcome the Kansas Speedway Minister, Mark Joseph, as he delivers today's invocation.
Pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this opportunity to come to this wonderful facility. We pray for our protection on the drivers, the crew, on the fans, and the officials. Thank you for this wonderful land we have, and we pray this all in your wonderful and holy and gracious name. Amen.
And now, please remain standing and join daytime soap opera star from The Guiding Light, Jim Davidson, in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land and of the free, and the home of the brave.
today's Grand Marshal, John Buck O'Neill, for the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Set to go here in Kansas, a 300-miler for the NASCAR Busch Series live on NBC Sports. Alan Bestwick, Benny Parsons here, filling in for Wally today while he races. A man who knows how to get it done. 3 times a Winston Cup winner this year, driver of the Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse Chevy, Jimmy Johnson. Glad to have you here.
Glad to be up here, and hopefully I'll do a little better job than Wally up here.
Yeah, well, that might not be. Never mind. We'll leave Wally alone for now.
We'll just see how this gets started.
There you go. Hey, this is a tough racetrack. We see the caution flag wave a lot here. 13, 11 caution flags in the 2 previous Winston Cup races here. Why is this place so tough?
I think there's a couple reasons. One, when you're on new tires and the pressures are down, the track's real slick and you don't have a lot of grip in the tires, and like I found out today, you can bust your butt pretty easily. But then the other thing is when you're racing side by side, the groove is really narrow here, especially in the Busch race. The groove hasn't had time to widen out yet, and you put the cars in a bad aero situation, and the guy on the inside gets loose and collects the guy on the outside, and you have a wreck. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Jimmy had a little accident in this morning's Winston Cup practice. We'll show you that a little bit later on. BP, got to talk championship. It's a big story today.
Oh, it certainly is. As someone mentioned, 5 guys can lead you with the championship lead after this race. But the greatest thing they got going for them, there's only 106 points behind between the 5 different guys. So they can go out and race and try to win, not worry about the championship.
No point racing, go for the checkered flag.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful thing. Got a lot to follow today. Got that great race for the championship, the tough racetrack, the Waltrips and Harvigs taking on the Riggs and Brian Vickers. A lot of great action coming up from here in Kansas when we come back. NASCAR Busch Series Racing, presented by Midas, is brought to you by Midas. Visit your local Midas mechanic today. And by Craftsman. Craftsman makes anything possible. Available at Sears. Field of starters in today's 300-mile NASCAR Busch Series race, just rolling off the pit lane to begin their parade and pace laps here at the Kansas Speedway. Very fast 1.5-mile track in Kansas City, Kansas. Starting lineup for today's race. Michael Waltrip setting a new track record for Busch Series cars and winning pole position. David Green, one of the championship contenders, just behind him in row 2. And while you look at the rest of the starting lineup, we want to get Jimmy to brief Wally on track conditions and things since he was out there earlier.
I mean, Jimmy just left the racetrack about an hour ago, so tell Wally how things are out there, okay?
You got it. I'm going to try to get him. Hey, Wally, it's Jimmy in the booth. You got a copy?
Gotcha.
Well, they're asking me to give you some advice based on what happened with me earlier today, and I personally think the track's got a lot of grip. I think it's going to get warmer and tighter as it goes on, but low pressures in those first few laps. Watch yourself, especially in the dirty air. It's going to be a little edgy, and I think the groove's still pretty narrow, but best of luck today. Have a great day.
Thanks. You keep those guys up there in line. I know it's a full-time job. You're about to see how hard my job is in that booth.
Yeah, I'm already off to a quick start in understanding that. BP's nodding some weird nods right now, but show me how to come from the back tomorrow.
Buddy, thanks.
Oh, that's right. You got
look for your fan over
you got it tomorrow, don't you?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. And Jimmy had a crash in practice this morning with his Winston Cup car, and he'll have to drop from the pole to the back. And Wally changed an engine, and he's going to drop to the back of the field here today at Kansas. Michael Waltrip doesn't have to drop to the back. He's on pole today. Matt, how about him?
Well, before his win at Bristol, Alan, the last win for Michael Waltrip was over a year ago at Michigan, a D-shaped track, sort of like Kansas. Crew chief Bobby Kennedy told me they didn't make any adjustments to the 99 car after the final practice except just waxing it. He's hoping that today's race turns into a fuel mileage affair because they are getting very good fuel mileage. Today burns.
A scare for championship contender Jason Keller, only 106 points out of the championship in 5th place. On pit road, a big pool of oil underneath his car in the rear. They've gone and let the car go now after NASCAR let them get underneath the car, clean it up, and now clean up the pool of oil on pit road. They don't think there's anything wrong with it, but we'll definitely keep you posted on that. Marty Snyder?
Dave, conventional thought in the garage area this morning what the man to beat, Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 25 car. Remember that romp of the field he pulled off at Chicago a few weeks back? It's back. The same exact car that did it that day is here today. Bobby Hamilton Jr. starts 16th, Alan.
He will be one to watch when we get going here in another little over a lap at Kansas Speedway.
And you see the 29 car, that's Kevin Harvick alongside the 25 of Hamilton Jr.
Race analysis today, mile-and-a-half track, 200 laps for the 300-mile distance. And that pit window for fuel mileage, you heard a couple people say already that could be big.
Yeah, it's going to be big every weekend, and especially on a track where the tires last so long. And really the mile-and-a-half stuff, it really seems to be a big key. But with all the cautions that we seem to have here, hopefully it doesn't come down to that. I don't think many of us like that.
Talking about championship, big story. Last time the NASCAR Busch Series race, 2 weeks ago today at Dover. Early in the race, David Green in the 37 was the point leader. Scott Riggs was chasing him for the championship, and it all got ugly in the opening laps. Green pretty much taken out of contention. He spent a long time in the garage getting repairs made to his car. Went from first to fourth in the championship, and now has to play catch-up with just 7 races to go. Dave?
Well, and he's still not happy after that incident, Alan. And as you mentioned, he dropped from first to fourth. The bright spot was the crew worked on that car and got him back out. He finished the race as the last car running in the standings. And if they hadn't done that, he'd have finished 39th. As it was, he finished 31st and picked up about 24 points. That could mean something at the end of the year.
So you've been in a tangle with a guy that you're racing for a spot in points. You're racing for wins every week. How do you get past that? How do you come out? Does it affect how you race him next time you come out?
Well, when you start to catch him, you start drooling a little bit. You're thinking about what happened. But David Green, I really don't see anything crazy coming out of it. He isn't going to cut the 10 car any slack, and he'll drive in there and try to loosen him up. And I think that's what the 10 car was trying to do to him at Dover. Dover, if you really tuck up underneath somebody, you can get them loose and move them out of the way. And there's no doubt the 10 was trying to loosen him up and get him out of the way. I don't think he intended to run into him and crash him, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but I wouldn't expect anything big from it.
And the same situation today. Scott Riggs is starting behind the 37 of David Green. Can he catch him if he gets up there? Yeah, I think he's going to give him a little bit more room than he did at Dover.
Yeah, I think Scott for the next 4 or 5 weeks is going to leave David plenty of room to make sure that he knows everything's okay.
Set to go at Kansas. There are a little over 80,000 seats here. They're almost all full today on a beautiful afternoon. Clear blue skies, temperatures creeping up into the 70s. And these fans, I want to tell you what, they are cranked up over their NASCAR racing. They've been packed into this racetrack all day. The autograph pens have been flying. They're excited for their once-a-year weekend of NASCAR competition here in Kansas City. Pace truck's off. Michael Waltrip and Casey Kane are on the front row, and we're set to start the Mr. Goodcents 300.
These cars coming down, awaiting the flag from the NASCAR official. The flagman starts the race.
It's like Harvick's. Is that Harvick down there?
Is that Harvick on the bottom? Or something is up with the 29 car.
Stuck in gear? Something?
It's running at least. Looks like he's getting up to speed now. Maybe he broke a gear on the start.
26 car that he just went by up on the top of the racetrack going slowly is Chad Blunt. So he's had some problems trying to get up to speed. There's Chad.
See a lot of smoke out of the back of the 26 car.
That looks
ready? I got no brakes.
No brakes.
Either.
That's not good. Michael Waltrip leads. David Green second. Casey Kane third. Mike Bliss fourth. As Blunt comes back around to pit road, and this ought to be interesting to see how he gets this thing stopped with no brakes.
Hear him using the transmission to slow the car down.
Well, now you got to turn it off.
Yeah, I had a
try
problem
to use
with
the clutch.
The ASA car one time, and I went through 3 or 4 times. I wouldn't want to shut it off and stop in my stall.
I got no brakes.
Fourth place, Stacy Compton underneath Mike Bliss. Compton in the 59 and Bliss in the 20. Kevin Harvick started the race in 13th position. Matty's back to 24th. What happened?
Jimmy, what's Chad Canals tell you usually before the starts? Clean the tires and make sure you clean it out. The car just loaded up.
The carburetor just had too much fuel in the engine when he hit the accelerator.
That 10 car is about to wreck.
That's what you were talking about.
Yeah, you're very loose in the inside of someone, and the 10 had his left front underneath the white line too, and that didn't help.
And a new leader, David Green underneath Michael Waltrip into turn 1.
Go up there and get your 5 points and settle in.
Yep. 5 bonus points if you're new to NASCAR for leading a lap during the race, and those bonus points can make a big difference at the end of the season.
Let's go back to what happened to Kevin. The crew chiefs always tell you, tighten your seatbelts, clean the car out, clean your tires up, and after years of hearing it, I mean, you do it a little bit, but you're like, oh, okay, anyways. Well, this is the first time I've seen it show up, and tomorrow I'll definitely be cleaning my engine out.
Kind of like listening to your dad for a while. After a while, you sort of don't hear the things he's telling you, even though you should.
Exactly.
Casey Mears in the 19, being challenged by Greg Biffle. Just behind them, first side-by-side action. It's Jamie McMurray in the 1, inside of Brian Vickers in the 5.
Oh, we
got some trouble.
Uh-oh.
Damon Lusk into the wall. Caution's out.
The wall. He spun and hit the wall. Out of 2. You got yellow. You got yellow. You got it.
No more racing back to the caution in NASCAR, remember. So everybody rolling out of the throttle here, and the safety truck's already rolling to the wrecked car.
Well, it's such a great thing to see.
Did a good job of getting it slowed down some, but obviously a lot of damage to the 6 car.
The safety truck was moving up to the 6 to make sure he was okay. About the time the truck got there, he drove away from him.
Let's get a look at what happened to put us under caution. This was over in turns 1 and 2.
Lusk is on the outside, and there just isn't any grip there. I don't think that Scott Wimmer, the 23, got in the back of him. I think he just simply lost grip up in that high line.
Yeah, being up in the second groove probably isn't real. You know, there isn't a lot of grip up there, and he was in dirty air in general, but I don't think the 23 was close enough to him either to loosen him up. It just looks like, well, he's creeping in there. I think the 57 probably disturbed the air more than anything. As you see, the 57 was just coming by the spoiler, and that probably upsetted the car and turned him around.
Ouch.
That's too bad. Talked to Damon's dad this morning down in the garage area from up in Washington State.
Yeah, Kennewick. Another look at it from back across the corner.
That wiggle kind of looked like that 48 car this morning, didn't it, Jimmy?
It's amazing when the car's upset what it does.
Wally was behind this. Listen.
You got one spinning over turn 2. Wally spinning over turn 2. Looks like he's going to come down, possibly coming down.
That was Larry McReynolds, who is spotting for Wally Dallenbach today. Larry of the Fox Network.
Let's see. Wally's up to 29th position after starting at the back of the pack. David Green is the early leader. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Check the Wendy's race menu. As we come back to Kansas City, it is the NASCAR Winston Cup 400-miler. From here, the Banquet 400. Coverage beginning at 12:30 Eastern Time with Discover Card Countdown to Green. Got a lot of great things to talk about tomorrow before we get set for a great 400-mile race. Tomorrow here on NBC, 12:30 Eastern Time. Got a small change in pit road rules that has gone into effect today.
Yes, we do. Here's the first time in line right there. See this cone right beside of there? When the car comes down and they get on this side of the cone, they have to go down pit road. They must. They can't come down this side and shoot back on the racetrack. That is going to be a penalty. Also, they can't be coming here and decide all of a sudden to make a pit stop and come that way. You cannot come on the outside of the cone. If you do, once again, you will be penalized.
I just learned something, BP. Thank you.
Well, that's okay.
Is that new for this weekend?
That's new for this weekend.
Makes sense. Have a commitment line back there. I mean, that's where pit road speed starts. So
that is the commitment line now.
And now we have a name for it. Commitment line.
Sounds good.
We've just learned something from you. Casey Mears been on pit road a couple times, Dave.
Yeah, Alan, his car would not commit to the corner. Way too loose going in, and so they came in and made a big chassis adjustment. Also topped him off. So, Jimmy, loose into the corner pretty bad here, isn't it?
Yeah, especially, I mean, everywhere it's bad, but, you know, you have such a big transition getting into turn 1 when the car lands. If it's loose in there, it's not comfortable, and, you know, you can end up wrecked like Damon Lusk did, unfortunately. And it's smart to come in and get it fixed now. Hopefully he's not going to be hurting too bad in traffic, and looks like they came in again and filled it up with some fuel. Maybe he'll have some strategy working out for him here at the end.
Gave up a 6th starting position and is way back in the field. That's Hank Parker Jr. in the Chance 2 car today, Matty.
And he's running 9th at this juncture, Alan. In fact, his car owner, the co-car owner, Dale Earnhardt Jr., on top of the War Wagon, giving Hank some tips after running the final practice session of where the 8 car should run and why, and try to get that car back up to the front. All Hank said was 10-4. The car is tight. That's something they battled during the final practice session. It kept going back and forth between extremely loose and extremely tight.
Parker Jr. just inside the top 10.
And sometimes the middle is a very elusive thing when it comes to this chassis setups.
was just thinking about for our happy hour, new tires. I'm not sure what the Busch rules are, but when we started on stickers, until we got a heat cycle in on the tires, the cars were really loose. And once they had a heat cycle on them, they got really tight. So I would anticipate seeing a lot of these cars getting tight.
Keep an eye on it.
Because the heat cycle is what he's talking about. They have run these cars about 5 or 6 laps, got them up at temperature, and when they cool off, that is what we call a heat cycle on tires.
Couple changes in the top 6 there. Stacy Compton sliding under Casey Kane to pick up a spot.
And there comes Wally trying to work his way up through the field. That's Anthony Lazaro in the 03 car he just passed.
So Wally's up to 26th place. And Casey Mears right behind him with a little bit more fuel, though.
And hopefully not too tight.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Harvick trying to make up the ground he lost on the start.
Brian Vickers at 5 on the outside. You don't want to be there.
No, that's not a good place to be yet. He's unfortunately going backwards. I know they hope to be going forward today.
Yeah, remember that 5 car is the championship leader in the NASCAR Busch Series. He started 17th, and he's back to 20th, and about to lose that.
Now they're lined up. It's hopefully he'll be able to just stay calm. It's hard to stay calm when you're going backwards like this, and there's so much on the line. And it looks like he's at least in line now, and hopefully they can get the first pit stop and work on it.
That's Todd Bodine there in the white 48 car, and here comes the 59 of Stacy Compton. A lot of guys in the garage here this morning talking about the 59, just how fast he was. Tried to get by Michael Waltrip.
Looks like Hornaday in the 2 is keeping pace with Compton's forward progress there.
Yeah, he moved by Bliss there in the restart, 2 by 20. And there's Scott Riggs in the 10 car, second place man in the NASCAR Busch Series Championship. And he runs in 11th. He just lost 1 spot as Bobby Hamilton Jr. is starting to move up through the top 10. Jamie McMurray in the yellow freight car, the number 1, working on Greg Biffle in the 7. That'd be for 11th and 12th.
Biffle dived back to the inside. He didn't want any part of that outside groove.
He didn't.
Can't blame him.
No.
And what's tough, too, when you're in the inside car going into turn 1, the transition's pretty abrupt, and it really loads the left front spring up, and you'll coil bind the left front, and it'll make the car shoot to the right. So you'll see some cars a little out of control going into 1, and that's why it just loads the left front and shoots you up the track.
See, now you might just told someone down in the garage area something they didn't realize, that they're coil binding the left front that's causing that problem.
Should I be quiet then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Secrets like that. Goodness gracious.
No. He's got a dish if he's here, man. That's part of it. Here's Hamilton Jr. He's rolling. He's already, this will be the 4th spot he's picked up since the restart as he gets around Tony Raines and picks up 8th place.
I think it makes it exciting to watch the Busch racing. Guys don't typically work with one another like they do in the Cup Series, and just the last few passes we've seen have been guys that run on the Cup side, and you see them playing the give and take game a lot better. It makes for great TV to see everybody racing so hard, but looks like a lot of guys are using their head here early.
McMurray underneath Joe Nemechek for a spot. That's 10th place. He'll put the 1 car up into the top 10. And Hamilton Jr. threw another one. Just went by Hank Parker Jr. in the 8.
Man, he is going somewhere in that 25 car. And you know what? He's running the NASCAR Winston Cup race tomorrow in a 25 car.
30
was number 35, but this team, you know, he's fast over there.
Yeah, he was flying in practice. I think he was 2nd or 3rd on the board, and in the first practice he made some long runs that looked really good, and then again backed it up in the second practice.
So Hamilton Jr. up to 7th after starting back in 16th place.
Watch the left front on that thing.
David Green leading Michael Waltrip. Barely. As we've completed 16 laps. Well, let's see here. Mike, you going to go for the lead?
Can't take it.
And David's going to let him go, too. So, Michael Waltrip, as I was saying, is the leader here at Kansas as Midas presents NASCAR Busch Series Racing on NBC. NBC Sports at the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas for NASCAR Busch Series Racing presented by Midas. Michael Waltrip is the leader after 22 of 200 laps. Our Stacker 2 NASCAR Busch Series race fact. Been a very competitive speedway in its brief, now 3-year history. 15 different drivers led this race 1 year ago, which was the most different leaders in a 2002 NASCAR Busch Series race.
Well, I'll tell you what, this 25 car, he's going to be a leader pretty doggone soon.
Look at the distance between his left front tire and the fender well. They've got that left front planted just about harder than anyone, and that's obviously making him work so well and get through traffic. Sounds easy, looks good. We all try to get there, but those guys have got to figure it out right now.
You try to get there, but they've done it today.
They've done it.
Hamilton Jr. up to 4th, Matty.
And remember that big, bad, dominant race car that he had in Chicago and Kentucky? This is the same car, Alan. This team has really gotten back on track momentum-wise the last 3 races, a 4th, a 3rd, and a 2nd. He hasn't said anything on the radio about the race car. It was tight in qualifying, but they got back on track during the final practice session, and it's really beginning to show.
That Chicago race that Hamilton Jr. won that we mentioned a couple times was the largest margin of victory in a NASCAR Busch Series race this season. 4.5 seconds he won by.
It's good racing.
Now, Brian Vickers, NASCAR Busch Series championship leader, started 17th, fallen back to 22nd. Kind of looks like he's struggling a little bit, Dave. How about it?
Alan, I talked to his crew chief, Lance McGrew, just before they started the engines today, and Lance told me that yesterday in the final practice session, they were very tight at the beginning of the session, so they continually loosened the car up and actually got it too loose at the end. So, he said they went back to a happy medium, but maybe a little toward the loose side of medium. The car is loose. Missed that.
Yeah, we got you, Dave.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dave is trying to be happy. The car is not happy. The car is angry right now. It's not going around the racetrack. And he's, let's see, he's about 15 seconds behind the leader, but the problem is that he's about 4 or 5 tenths of a second per lap slower than the leader.
They're going to come quick.
Second place driver in the championship is Scott Riggs. He's in 12th place right now. Started in 8th, Marty.
Alan, he's fallen back a little bit, and the same exact situation is happening for Scott Riggs. They were tight in the practice yesterday, knew that the race was going to get tighter the longer it went today, or the cars would get tighter the longer they went today, so they started their car loose as well. Too loose for Scott. He's complaining about it right now, and Jimmy, I'm sure when you have a crew chief who wants to start it loose, hoping it'll get tight, it's a handful to drive early on, isn't it?
It sure is, and we all try to start the race loose. Because, as everybody knows, we talk about so much, track gets tighter, the cars burn the fuel load off, and the cars get tighter from that. So you really try to find that balance, but green racetrack, or I should say early in the day, the racetrack's got a lot of grip and maybe just a little too much right now.
Riggs going by Nemechek, took over the 11th spot. Riggs in the 10, Nemechek 87.
When you got a loose car like this, I don't know if this will help these guys make a 2-tire stop decision any easier. Usually when we put 2 tires on, you end up tighter in the long run. So maybe these guys can, if a caution comes out in the near future, put 2 on and some fuel and have a balanced race car.
Updated the top 2 in the championship. How about the 3rd place driver in points? Ron Hornaday in the 2 is back to 8th place, Matt.
He started 9th. Allen had climbed up the podium on the scoreboard, then slowly started to fade back. The car chattering the right front tires a little bit. But remember, this team has really been on a roll. They have climbed with only 61 points out of the championship point, trying to get Richard Childress not only the car owners championship, but the drivers championship. And Benny, remember our conversation this morning with Ricky Byers. They want this championship. They're focused on it. And what did he say? They're trying to be the ball. They did not go conservative with gearing like some teams did. They're trying to go for the win.
That's exactly. He was what I talked about, the driver, the crew chief and driver that I thought about this morning at my opening statement, that being aggressive. They are aggressive in this 2-car, trying to run up front as far as they can, get every position they can.
This 8 car is being aggressive right now. Hank Parker Jr. driving for Dale Jr. and Teresa Earnhardt's Chance 2 Racing. Jr. and Hank Parker Jr. are friends. And this ride for Parker Jr. is Dale Jr.'s effort to get Hank back into a full-time ride. He's trying to help him show off his talents and some good equipment.
That's great. I mean, Hank is an awesome race car driver, and unfortunately isn't in a full-time ride. And Junior's doing a great thing, and Hank's obviously hoping to make the best of it and end up with a full ride for next year.
Parker Jr. running in 9th. Ron Hornaday in the 2 is 8th. Michael Waltrip out in front. He's opened up a 2.5 gap on 2nd place David Green. NASCAR Busch Series Racing presented by Midas. It's brought to you by Midas. Visit your local Midas mechanic today. Buy Old Navy painter's pants. They'll work for you. By Supercuts, when it comes to hair, we know how it is. And by Trim Spa, completely ephedra-free. Get your high-speed Dream Body Diet Pill today and be envied. Michael Waltrip is the leader here at the Kansas Speedway, out in front of David Green by nearly 3 seconds. Waltrip and Green trading the lead a couple of times in the opening laps. Michael leading the first 2 circuits. David passing him at lap 3. Then at lap 17, Michael back by. And has led the last 20 circuits around. And boy, he's pulling away big.
Yes, he is. And right now, he's running about 0.2 of a second faster than David Green. Bobby Hamilton Jr., we talked about him in that 25 car, how well he was running. Actually, he slowed down and right now is about 1/10 of a second slower than Michael Waltrip.
27 car is Chase Montgomery, the Trim Spa machine that Michael's about to put a lap down. Driver change in that car this week. Joey Clanton, the former ASA champion, and that team choosing to go their separate ways. And so Montgomery, who started the season in that car, is back on board. Mike Bliss, after falling back some in the opening laps, seems to have it coming back to him.
Goes by Stacy Compton, moves into the 5th spot.
Probably seeing there is Stacy was pretty balanced. Maybe even a little bit tight at the beginning, was able to go forward. Maybe the 20 was loose, and now as the fuel's burning off and you're getting some temperature and heat in the right front, it's pumping up and the car's coming to him.
Mike Bliss in his 20. Finished 5th at Dover last race 2 weeks ago today, and it was so great to see because they've had such a lousy summer. Driving for Joe Gibbs, came close to winning a race Mother's Day weekend at St. Louis, ran out of gas leading it in the closing laps, and after that things just kind of one thing after another kept happening, and they had bad results all summer, so nice to see them get it back going the right direction.
Casey Kane, the 38 car, has closed up on the back bumper of David Green.
Casey Kane's done an awesome job. He's got some more experience under his belt, understands these cars a little bit more, and has been doing just a great job.
Last 8 races for him, 5 top 10s. Worst finish in 8 races is 14th.
And he's not afraid of qualifying either.
No.
He's usually up front.
Fast is not his problem.
No. Right now, aerodynamics is his problem. He's got the 37, but unfortunately, the second roof hasn't come in yet, and it looks like he's going to be stuck there for a little while.
So that's the race for second, and you see Hamilton Jr. closing in on them in the 25 car.
Group still is pretty narrow. See a couple guys out there trying to work up there, but it looks like the only reason they're up there is because they're forced up there.
And that's a concern that the drivers and crew chiefs had this morning as you talk to them, is when you catch somebody, how are you going to get by them? Because you just can't drive up on the outside of them.
You slow down 0.3 at least, maybe even closer to half a second when you get within 5 or 6 car lengths of the car in front of you. There isn't anything you can do. You're just sitting there holding on.
That aero push that we continually talk about, when you lose that full complement of air on the car, it just doesn't handle like it does when you're by yourself.
See, David's a little tight. He's leaving like 3 feet on the bottom of the track, and what Casey's trying to do is get his left front down there and get some air on the nose, keep it turning.
Look at this. Michael Waltrip is caught in traffic, and one of them is Wally. On board with Wally. 22 cars, Blake Mallory, youngster out of Joshua, Texas, 23-year-old. Wally's last one on the lead lap in 26th place.
Wow, that's impressive. Michael just drove by on the outside.
That is impressive.
It was.
You know, it's been a trend we've seen from this
Mikey up top working the top end for tomorrow's Cup race.
Yeah. One thing, I got nothing to do other than I'll just work the groove in for tomorrow.
Yeah.
The trend we've seen from this 99 Busch Series car when Michael's won this year, on the long run, they are strong. They might have trouble. If you get a restart with 10 to go, they might be in a little bit of trouble. But if you get this 30 and 40 lap run like we've got going now, boy, are they strong.
I have to think some of the Winston Cup mentality plays over into that. Just longer races, maybe starting the car with lower tire pressures. And then Michael obviously knows how to budget his tires and save his equipment probably a little better than say, the Busch Rangers.
I guess the good news for Wally at this point would be that he's in position to get the lucky dog pass here if the caution comes out.
You better hope it comes soon because the 99's...
Check out the view into the left side of Greg Biffle's car.
Yeah, the window net is not obscuring that view.
And he has been and is being black flagged to come get that addressed. The window net that is on the left side of those cars is a safety item. It's there for a reason.
does that happen?
Not very, but every once in a while.
All right, we'll take a break here. Biffle's acknowledging he's got to come to pit road and get that fixed. We'll come back and do Through the Field for you in a minute. Michael Waltrip leads. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. We are at a quarter distance here at the Kansas Speedway with Michael Waltrip leading the Mr. Goodcents 300. Tomorrow you can get more in-car camera action with NASCAR in-car on in-demand, in-car camera channels, virtual dashboards, real-time in-car data, and live team audio are a part of the package. Call 1-888-SPORTS-IN if you've got digital cable. Get hooked up. It's all Mikey right now. Waltrip is beginning to put a lot of cars a lap down,
including our Busch Series championship leader, Brian Vickers. Passed him just a moment ago. He's back in 23rd spot now, a lap down. Tim Fiedler's a lap down. Johnny Sauter, the payday car, he's a lap down. Mikey is going somewhere.
Next car in front of him is Casey Mears in the 19th and 20th place car. As you see, Brian Vickers now struggling back in 23rd place. Dave?
He radioed into his crew as he was going a lap down on lap 48. It's loose all the way through, guys. It's loose when I put the wheel to it. It's loose when I put throttle to it. Loose, loose, loose.
Man, that's just not fun, and obviously not very fast either. See, the 25 was trying to get around the 38 there, but not much you can do, and just try to pray for a caution. And they probably need to get to pit road and get the thing tuned up. Looks like it's going to stay rain for a while.
Going to be coming to pit road in another 15 laps or so. If we stay out of the green flag, are all of the leaders. Casey Kane and Hamilton Jr. racing for second, now 6 6/10 seconds behind Michael Waltrip. As Mikey works to put 20th place Casey Mears a lap down. Let's take you through the field and update you on all of our top runners. Matt, you're first.
Michael Waltrip chasing his season second victory, opening up to about a 6.5 second lead. The car perfect. Bobby Kennedy, the crew chief, told him back on lap 16. He's led enough, time to go, and that's exactly what they've done. They pulled out in the lead. Meanwhile, Casey Kane, he fought a spring problem the final practice session. They fixed that. The car was a little free in and free through the center, and that's pretty much how the car is now as he runs in second. Bobby Hamilton Jr., car started out big time on the free side, slowly tightened up as he cut through the field. Now the car is tight, Dave.
The 37 car of David Green was too tight in the center, a little free going into the corner, but he radioed back that it's a little better, then a little bit free off the corner now.
And your championship leader is going to come in for an early pit stop. Decided he couldn't stand it anymore, I guess.
They're going backwards so fast, you're now down a lap. If you're close to your pit window, chances are you need to get in, put some tires on it, and try to start making up ground again.
Go ahead, Dave.
Brian Vickers is in. Big chassis adjustment. Track bar on the right side. Wedge on the left side. 4 tires for Vickers, like you guys were saying. Now that he's gone a lap down, all hope is lost. And they're getting near their pit window anyway, so may as well come in, get Brian taken care of, and stalls the car. No. Wasting more time, unfortunately. Now he's gone.
Sometimes when it's a bad day, it's just a bad day.
Jimmy, is concrete pit road harder to get off than asphalt? Doesn't it grip those rear tires a little more than asphalt?
Yeah, a little bit more, and it seems like some tracks are harder than others to get off pit road. When you're at Darlington or Rockingham, it's so dirty, that gets hard to get stopped in your pit stall, and leaving's easy. But yeah, concrete has a little bit more grip.
Casey Mears continuing to fight off Michael Waltrip to try and stay on the lead lap, and notice those cars are not running right down on that white line.
I'm impressed by Michael. You know, he had slowed down to about 32, 40 or so. When he moved up to the top of the racetrack, he picked up some speed.
Casey said, okay, if that's where you're running,
I'm going to go up there and block it.
I'm going to take that line away and try and stay on the lead lap.
I don't think Michael's going to put up with that. He's going to the bottom and he's going to try to find a way by.
Here he comes. And slower car ahead.
See the death wobble.
All right, Waltrip. So Casey falls a lap down in 20th place. And next ahead is Todd Bodine in the 48 car. 19th place.
So I guess your strategy now, normally when you're lapped, you come to pit road and try to get your tires on and get going. But now I guess you wait till the leader passes the next car so you can possibly catch the free pass.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good point.
That is a good point. Like right now, Casey Mears would be the lucky dog winner. If the caution flag were to come out, he would get to make up a lap.
Casey's drooling to pass the 48, so he can stay in that opportunity.
Three-way race for a spot here. Jeff Green's in the 92, Kevin Harvick in the 29, Jason Keller in the 57, and they're racing for 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Personally, it's great to see the 92 car back there, staying Randy Herzog, and I drove for those guys for a lot of years, and it was just a shame to see the Herzog-Jackson team have to shut down. And fortunately, they probably want to be going forward, and they're slipping back a little right now, but hopefully they'll get a sponsor and they'll be able to run again next season.
Yep, the team that you ran the NASCAR Busch Series with a couple years ago, of course, won with them, Chicago. Yep. We all remember that.
We came together a long ways, from off-road truck racing to the Busch Grand National, and they are why I'm where I am today. They gave me all the opportunities and all the equipment to do what I've done.
And the reason they're here, this is their home area.
This is hometown for them. I know that there's probably, they're around us somewhere up here in a suite watching, and hopefully the 92 will get up front.
29 car Kevin Harvick. Remember, he fell back some at the start, Matt. Now it looks like he's slowly creeping forward and gaining some of those spots.
He's been battling a tight race car most of the afternoon, Alan. And then his car owner, Richard Childress, got on the radio and said, you know, you might want to try what some of the leaders are doing, and that's climbing up to maybe the next lane. And it's exactly what he did. It's helped the race car, Dave.
Matt, David Green asked for a little more grip all the way around, air pressure adjustments for that. Also a chassis adjustment on the left side. 4 tires for Green, and a fuel cell full of fuel before he leaves pit road. Throws a water bottle out the window. Crew finishing up on the left side. Matt, back to you.
And Casey Kane is in. Service complete on the right side. They've already made a track bar adjustment. Remember, we told you his car was just a tick free. Dave?
Tight on entry for Jason Keller. They will make a chassis adjustment on the right side for that. 4 tires for Jason here on lap 61, Marty.
Joe Nemechek's fly down pit road after a 4-tire stop, Dave. He said it just feels like we're killing the right front, sliding the nose in the corner for about the last 30 laps. Nemechek has 4 fresh tires and a wedge adjustment.
So Nemechek rejoins the race. Casey Kane has got to come back to pit road.
No.
Missing lug nut.
Ouch.
He was running in the top 3. Mike Bliss is on pit road, gives up 3rd spot for his stop. Kevin Harvick is coming in behind him. Also, Jason Leffler is coming on to pit road. These stops under green at lap 62.
Right now it's a nervous time if you're a crew chief, because the cars getting back on the racetrack with the new tires are sticker tires, and they're very slick. And we've got almost somebody who's want to get to pit road is looking out the windows here, the 12 car. But right now is the best opportunity for a wreck.
Matt, go ahead.
A set of scuff tires going on. Mike Bliss's Chevrolet, they've already made the wedge adjustment. His car was tight, but they felt it was more aero tight than chassis tight. So they made a slight adjustment. Meanwhile, the 25 of Bobby Hamilton Jr. is in, making an air pressure adjustment on that 25 car, Marty.
Well, Wally is on pit road. He is very, very tight. Got tight in, tight off the corners. They went up 2 rounds on the track bar for Wally. It'll be 4 tires for him, and they sit on pit road waiting for all the fuel to get in. Holding for that. Now it's full of fuel, and Wally goes back down pit road.
Saw Wally glance up the rearview mirror as he tried to, as he drove out of his pit box to be assured that no one was coming down pit road. He would drive out in front of them.
Stacey Compton is in. Ashton Lewis is in. Marty?
Stacey Compton came on the radio at lap 56, said tight, exclamation point. Very tight for the 59 much. They make a wedge adjustment. They also make a right front air pressure adjustment. And the 59 car running not too bad. We got really tight at the end of that run.
And this is all bad news for a lot of these guys, because now they put themselves in a situation. If this thing should be green, they're getting themselves in trouble. Dave, car coming to you.
That would be Jamie McMurray. They're going to make a track bar and an air pressure adjustment for him. Tight off the corner has been his complaint. Jimmy, you were talking a little bit about a high line for Jamie. It was mainly, I believe it was mainly because he was tight coming off the corner. 4-tire stop for the 1 car. Matt?
Dave is at 38, comes back down pit road. Leader Michael Waltrip makes his way to his pit stall. Bobby Kennedy and the guys ready to change the tires. They're going to put a set of scuff tires on. They did a lot of scuffing during the final practice session. No adjustments though for Michael Waltrip's Chevrolet. He said the car is awesome, puts the car in gear. To Marty.
Second place man in the championship, Scott Riggs on pit road. Remember, he started way too loose loose on that run, so they're going to go down one round on the track bar. He was fairly happy with it when he got behind other cars. It got too tight. 4 tires for Riggs. They'll send him back down pit road.
Marty, you already see the wedge wrench going in the back window, going to make a significant change to Hank Parker Jr. Chevrolet. The car was just way too tight, going the scuff tire route as well. A good stop for the Chance 2 team.
Ron Hornaday took over the lead when Michael Waltrip pitted. Now here he comes down the pit lane. Tony Raines following him in. That'll make Todd Bodine the leader for now. Matt?
And Hornaday third in the championship points standings, making his way to his pit stop. Ricky Byers is going to try to fix that race car with a track bar adjustment. The car was just too tight up off the corner. Ron felt like if they could fix the tightness and get that car to cut more up off the corner, they would be in really good shape as they go to work on the left side of the car. Service complete.
So Hornaday leaves, and Todd Bodine is the leader. Johnny Sauter, one of the drivers who had not pitted, is coming on to the... he's got some damage right rear.
And Marty, is he out of fuel in that 21 car? Is it running?
He was out of fuel. BP radioed in. He's out of fuel, but he got it to fire back as he came down pit road. Car was extremely tight. He said, we have to free it up, guys, for Johnny Sauter, the man who won a couple weeks back at Richmond. It will be a 4-tire change and fuel in the car.
You talked about the damage in the right rear. Oh, and he killed. They're trying to get the engine started in the 21. Here's how it happened.
This is Wally.
Trying to get the pit road out of gas.
3 wide, on the outside, clear low, clear all around. Good job, buddy.
That's when he ran out of fuel, my guess is, and Wally got in the back of him.
That's what it looks like. It could have been a heck of a wreck. There's 3 guys there all piled up.
Got it going, and he's back out on track. Todd Bodine is the leader. Then Michael Waltrip will take over once Todd pits. And Todd is on the pit lane now.
Looks like Bobby Jr.'s probably got the fastest car now that everybody's cycled back around.
There's the 48 car on pit road. Dave?
Welcome back to the Busch Series for Todd Bodine. The car very tight right now. They're going to make a track bar and an air pressure adjustment, trying to make that car better for Todd. He also commented that the tires feel very rough from the start. He really didn't complain about the match, but they're just rough.
Trouble off turn 4. Tim Fidoa sliding through the tri-oval grass. Caution flags out.
Luckily, he didn't hit anything.
And luckily, all these cars had made a pit stop before this happened. Otherwise, we could have had a car or 2 in a lead lap of their own.
And just to point out, because of the no racing back to the caution rule, Todd Bodine would have lost a lap on that pit stop. He just got out on the lead lap.
Really, I was curious about that.
Because Michael Waltrip slowed down like he's supposed to when the caution came out. Todd finished his service and got off the pit lane before Michael came to the start-finish line.
And looks like our lucky dog winner is Scott Wimmer. He's the first car 1 lap down in the 23. Down boy, Scott.
You get the free pass after any pit stops that might happen under the caution flag. Second yellow of the race, Tim Fidoa. Okay, now it's official. We have an official lucky dog.
What is our sport turning into?
Fun, hopefully.
Yes, it's good for TV.
Yeah, let's get that rubber out and let's move that track bar down a half a turn. Okay? All right, just a half a turn. Okay, good job, guys.
That would more than likely mean that he's loose. Rubber out of the right rear, track bar down.
That sounds to me like it would be loose.
Got some work to do. Pit road is open for lead lap cars here. Let's see if any of them come back in. Most of them were just in a minute ago.
I think Greg Biffle is probably the only guy. Here comes David Green, Greg Biffle. Guys that stopped earlier that only going to be able to run 20 or 30 more laps with the only cars pitting.
David Green's going to give up third spot for a trip down the pit lane, but all the other front runners stay out under caution at Kansas. NASCAR on NBC live at the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, as Midas presents NASCAR Busch Series Racing. 73 of 200 laps complete under caution for the second time after Tim Fidoa had a problem in turn 4 and wound up in that pretty little grass strip inside the front stretch. Let's check it out.
Now, he did a good job here. This could have been a lot worse. You can see him, second car in the screen starts wiggling. He wrecked for maybe close to half mile, quarter of a mile, and just didn't hit anything.
Gets down the grass and slides, and these drives through all the logos in the grass. I know these track officials hate that.
Tim back out on the speedway, though. 1 lap down, 26th place. Nice save.
Very good save. Really no damage. You might have got the right rear on the wall, but you can see the spoiler still on it and up where it needs to be, so he's in good shape.
Jimmy Johnson joining Benny and I for our coverage today while Wally races. Speaking of big spins.
Yeah, take us through this ride.
This is luck. I just surprisingly missed the pack, and then coming back down, luckily my teammate Joe Nemechek did a heads-up job there and missed me. And just a wild deal. I think Michael and I touched wheel to wheel, and it just turned my car, obviously, really fast and sent me through the infield.
Did you close your eyes?
When I was coming back down the track, I did. Up until then, I thought I had it saved.
I don't blame you.
And then when I saw the 25 coming, I closed my eyes.
I don't blame you a bit.
And then you stopped and took tires and came tearing back up through the field, and you were looking good.
Yep.
And you had a little mechanical issue, probably from getting spun around.
Yeah, we can't really determine if that hurt it or not. Obviously, we lost an engine, and no one else did. So it probably had something to do with that, but it's not really leading us that direction.
Now, there's Wally. See, he's got a Band-Aid on the left front fender.
So we ought to ask him about that deal with the 21 car.
Go ahead.
All right. Hey, Wally, BP, you got me?
Come in.
What'd you think when that 21 ran out of fuel right in front of you, huh?
That was pretty bad timing, wasn't it? Knocked a hole in the left front, and all of a sudden the car started pushing real bad, even worse than it was, so he had to come in and get it fixed.
So the car's been tight all day?
Yeah, it starts out fairly decent, but when it starts getting tight in a hurry. So I think we took some wedge out of it. See if we can still make something out of it.
Well, good luck to you.
Wally is running in 27th place right now. That was Jimmy with the artistic designs. Hey, that's okay. It's your tool. Your toy for the day.
VP and I were talking before it came up during practice, and I said, I just want to use the pin once. So I did, threw a face on Wally, and now I'm good.
So you're happy now?
Yes.
There you go. Also pitting under this caution were most of the contenders, matter of fact, all of the contenders for the NASCAR Busch Series Championship. The lead lap cars that stopped included David Green, Ron Hornaday, Scott Riggs, and Jason Keller. Now Brian Vickers is in for a second stop under the yellow, Dave.
That's right. During the first stop, Alan, they tried to fix his loose condition by putting a spring rubber in the left rear, going down to the track bar, and disconnecting the chain on the left rear. But they also were told by NASCAR that they had something sticking out the right side in the way of a side skirt, so they had to come back down on pit lane and fix that, and they also topped off with fuel.
You know, it's ironic that Lance McGrew, the crew chief, and I talked about the chain on the left rear this morning, jerking the left rear off the ground.
You'd hope that wasn't.
Well, I mean,
hit now.
We talked about that on another car, and
wow.
And so he, I don't know if he was thinking back about that conversation, decided to unhook that chain to make sure. See, they put a chain on the left rear when they jacked the car up to change tires, that it chain pulls the tire off the ground. Well, sometimes the chain gets in the right position, it'll jerk the left rear off the ground on the racetrack.
Especially with as soft as the front springs are now, you're having all the left rear travel. It's probably not typical.
Back underway. Michael Waltrip leads. Bobby Hamilton Jr. is second. Jamie McMurray with a quick challenge to the outside of Mike Bliss for third.
Todd Bodine in that 92 car. And I'm sorry, Jeff Green. Yep. Todd used to drive the car. He's trying to get that lap back. He wants to stay in front of Michael Waltrip, doing all he can to be in the lead.
It's like Casey Mears has some problems getting up to speed.
A bunch of cars get all bottled up behind the leaders while we watch this up front. Hamilton Jr. going to try and follow Jeff Green underneath Michael Waltrip if he can.
Right now, Jeff Green needs to fight hard. If there's going to be a caution, well, it's going to be 3 wide. If there's going to be a caution, it would be here now while everybody's bunched up.
There was going to be a caution flag if Hamilton Jr. in that 25 had tried to make it 3 wide. But I don't think it would have done Jeff Green any good in that 92. Man, what about the 25?
Well, Benny, Bobby Jr. asked Harold Holley under that caution just how much better Michael Waltrip was than the 25 car. Harold says, actually, you are about 0.3 of a second better than he is. And Bobby said, oh, okay. Well, let's definitely stay out there.
Yeah, okay.
really the 92 isn't in a bad situation. I know he wants to get up there and get his lap back on his own, but as long as he plays good defense and keeps the other lap cars behind him, he should be fine.
But here comes that 38 car. Casey Kane just past Mike Bliss on the outside, right behind Jimmy McMurray. He also is a lap down and appears to be as fast as any of these lead lap cars right now.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, remember the penalty he had for the missing lug nut on the green flag pit stop. And Casey now one spot behind Jeff Green in the second car, one lap down.
Run, Jeff, run.
How do you feel about the new rule? I mean, everybody has universally praised the no racing back to the caution. But what about the giving someone a lap back? Are you for or not sure about that?
I'm 80% against it. It hasn't helped me yet, so of course I'm against it. The day it helps me, I'm going to love it. But it makes for good TV, and you know, if you look at when you have a bad day, or like Casey Kane, you know, he has a great race car, had a bad something bad happened to him. If he's in the right position, he gets his lap back. So it works out either way, but I think we need to earn it. Really, I honestly do think you need to go back up there and earn it.
Oh, last time going down in turn one, our boy Wally, 3 wide. Tony Raines on the outside. Here comes Nemechek, the 87 on the outside. 48 Vickers. And Brian Vickers right behind. Watch this.
Whoa.
Wow. Oh, some great driving done by Nemechek, by Wally, bunch of these guys.
So they wrecked, they just didn't hit anything.
Exactly.
Biffle in the 7. Wow.
Man.
That is unbelievable.
You're in the middle, you're in the middle.
Larry McReynolds spotting for Wally.
What do you say about that, Larry?
Got nothing coming, Wally. Got to stay up.
Wally can't blame it on the spotter. The spotter said you're in the middle.
How about it, Marty?
Yeah, Joe Nemechek's only question after that was, does Wally have a spotter, or is he doing this on his own?
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Wally was looking up at the booth.
The response was, yes, Larry McReynolds is spotting for him. So Larry did do his job. We have proof of it.
Well, he wanted matching fenders. He's got a Band-Aid on the left front. Now he's going to have a Band-Aid on the right front.
I think he's looking up here. He wants his day job back.
I'm guessing Wally's opinion on that would be, well, you should make sure you're clear of me before you pull down in front of me to provide the counterpoint. So there you go. Michael Waltrip and Hamilton Jr. have freed themselves of the lap traffic. And just to update the championship contenders that pitted under that last caution, David Green, farthest of them in the running order, he's in 10th place right now on the racetrack. So the extra pit stop to take on a little bit of fuel has not hurt them that badly as far as track position. He gave up 3rd for the pit stop. Got a car sliding up to the top of turn 2.
Oh, he's got around.
Caution.
Okay, just put it in gear and go. Don't too fast, Ron. You got to get it going straight before you put it in gear and go. Yeah, he's still driving it.
To a cop stop at the end, and off you go.
Ron Hornaday, 3rd place driver in the NASCAR Busch Series Championship, was running 12th.
Get caught up, man. We'll get her fixed for you.
And it got away in turn 2.
38 will have his lap back.
Flat tire.
Is that Richard Childress on the radio? I think it was.
I see that Jeff Green, the 92 car, was not able to hang on to that first car and lead lap down, so Casey Kane is the lucky dog, Dave.
And there was some confusion. Jeff Green thought the 38 car was a lead lap car. He didn't race him hard, and when he found out, he said, doggone it to the guys.
Doggone it.
Doggone it, yeah.
I get it. Let's check out what happened to Ron Hornaday that brought out the caution flag.
Loose.
Just not a lot of grip up in that outside lane for the 2 car of Hornaday. I don't think there's a lot of damage to the 2. Do you, Jimmy?
No, I don't. He may have just touched it. It looks like the car settled into the track loose, and he chased it obviously to the top and rode it for a long time, fighting it all the way to the bitter end. Didn't hit anything, and he'll get caught up. Some new tires, be in good shape.
Boy, he did fight it for a long way.
Let's see. We see the dust flying. Just touched it. He did touch the wall.
Just couldn't grab it right there. All the marbles and everything he was running through.
If someone will save it, it will be Hornaday.
Here he's almost going straight, but puts it in gear and spins it back around. Matt Hamilton back in.
Yes, he is, Benny. He decided to pull in. Right side tires on, getting ready to put a set of Looks like scuffs on the left side of Bobby Hamilton Jr.'s car, giving up that second position. Very strong race car today.
See Kevin Harvick leaving pit road. Also got Stacy Compton pitting, Joe Nemechek among lead lap cars, and Ron Hornaday in to get some fresh tires on his car. But leader Michael Waltrip and a number of the other front runners have stayed on track. And we're at lap 85 of 200 here at Kansas Speedway. Back with more in a minute. This was on board Wally's car when he had that little 3-wide situation a couple minutes ago. Watch his eyes inside the visor.
Oh, that is so perfect. Watch him. Watch him in there. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Looked like he looked in the mirror right when Joe
turned down.
Wasn't looking where he was going. Just had to take a shot at him real quick.
Yeah, that's okay.
Why not?
That was so close.
Draw another face on his helmet.
See, one thing you learn about this is you have the microphone, you have the last word.
Unfortunately, he'll probably find out by tomorrow, and he'll have all kinds of new things drawn on my face.
You're catching on. How'd you like to win a trip to New York City and work as a special correspondent at this December's Winston Cup Awards ceremony? If you pay special attention on Sunday to which driver's leading the race at lap 50, you'll need to know that to enter to win the NASCAR Big Apple Sweepstakes. Jimmy, you were up in New York this week and spent some time with some heroes.
Yeah, I did. It was really neat to go by this firehouse. I think they lost 9 of their 12 guys, and the gentleman that was showing me around, his brother was one of the ones that was lost, and he's really made that firehouse his home and is there, and very nice, caring guy. And you forget about what's happened until you go back and you see it in person, and you see the shrines that they have and all the firehouses around there, anywhere on the street. It's amazing, and people still today are leaving flowers and wreaths and just showing their thanks for what they did for what happened on 9/11.
The human legacy, if you will.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Very sad, but amazing.
We go back racing here in Kansas. Michael Waltrip is the leader. Jamie McMurray is second. Mike Bliss third. Hank Parker Jr. fourth. Ashton Lewis is fifth. David Green, Scott Riggs, Jason Keller, Todd Bodine, Scott Wimmer, the rest of the top 10. The first car that pitted was Bobby Hamilton Jr. He's back in 13th now. He was second before the pit stop.
Mike Wallace, the 4 car now, trying to stay in front of the leader, or at least be the first car 1 lap down in case the caution flag were to come back out.
How did the 92 fall so far back? Did they pit again? Now he's...
Jeff Green, you talking about?
Yeah, you must have pit.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, trouble.
Car in the wall, 2 of them in the wall. Jason Leffler and Brian Vickers, the championship leader.
Oh, man. And Vickers' car is not going back on the racetrack today.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if somebody got into me.
Dave?
Okay, you just caught the end of that transmission. He said first, I am fine. Now, they had just pitted, put themselves way back in the pack because they were still working on that loose condition. They made a long pit stop, adjusted on the shock on the left rear, and put tires on the car. But he said earlier on the radio, when I'm in traffic, this car's got the devil in it. Looks like it bit him.
Brian Vickers, the championship leader in the NASCAR Busch Series, in the wall. He's in the top lane.
There he is on the outside, and it just goes in the corner, and a lot of dirty air, and Leffler just kind of spun to avoid. He backed off the throttle quickly, which spun the 0-0 out.
Still there. Gonna spin. Ease up, ease up, ease up. Go low, go low. Come on. Go low, go low.
Talking about that transition into turn 1, you land so hard, and it looked like right where that major compression zone was is where the 5 got loose, and it turned around on them. That's terrible to see have happen for the GMAC team and all of Hendrick Motorsports. Those guys have been working very hard to get to the points lead, and obviously this isn't going to be good for them at all.
Yeah, with the championship being so close, it's a big setback when you have a problem and a poor finish, because now it's not just one guy you're racing against that you have to gain points back on. Now you got to gain them back on 4.
Yep, and in Brian's case, he is not supposed to be in this situation as a rookie.
Yeah.
And he's not necessarily a rookie, but his first full year in Busch, not that this should make him feel any better, but he has been leading the points. He's been winning races. He has his Winston Cup career ahead of him. He needs to get experience, and it's not going to make him feel too good about it, but he's doing an awesome job, and they'll just have to put their head down and see what happens for the end of the year.
Now, there were 2 things that happened at that caution. Mike Wallace actually was in front of Michael Waltrip when the yellow flag came out, so he was actually on the lead lap. He comes back around and makes up a 1.5 miles, and that put Tim Fedewa in the 12 car as the first one not on the lead lap. And he gets the lucky dog pass.
Right. And it was so cool to see, Jimmy. I looked up when they crashed there, and the leaders were up in 3 and 4, and they just slowed down immediately. I looked back to the crash scene, and the ambulance, the fire truck, all that stuff was going towards the crash.
There has been a huge change, and I can say that from 2 perspectives myself also. Yesterday, I think the 74 crashed, and I was coming off of turn 4, heard the caution was out, slowed down, shut the engine off, and came to a stop in turn 1. And by the time I got to turn 1, the ambulance was at Tony's car, and he was coming out of the car. And then again today, after I crashed, I didn't even have the window net down yet, and was coming out of my car, and they were there because of everyone slowing down.
Yeah, that's so good to see.
It's very good to see.
Yeah, we've mentioned it a few times during the day today, Jimmy, but we haven't shown it and talked about it. You qualified on pole for tomorrow's race yesterday, but this morning in practice, it didn't go so well.
Nope. Looking back, I should have just spun it out. I tried to save it and ride it out, but it just hooked back so hard. And there goes our pole-sitting race car.
Pretty heavy shot there.
Yeah, it was a good shot. Very good shot. Getting a little depressed watching this. Sorry, guys.
When I walked in the garage area and saw you a little bit, you were a little bit depressed as well. You were upset with yourself, weren't you?
Yeah, we were scuffing tires, and I knew that the car was loose, and I still drove down in there, and I still was trying to cut a faster lap than what I did, because I just moved to the top of the board, and I went down in there being aggressive and crashed our primary car. So very disappointed on for myself to do that. I should have just scuffed the tires and left things alone, and we'd be sitting in great shape, but that's not the way it is anymore.
But a solid team like yours, pull out a good backup car. You got some practice in it, and you'll put on a show for us tomorrow.
We'll put on a great show. I think we're 5th or 6th in the happy hour practice. Yep. We didn't have one of our good engines in it. We're putting that in now. The guys are down there working away, so we'll be there. We just have a lot of work ahead of us.
Yep. We'll be watching tomorrow starting at 12:30 Eastern on NBC when we bring you the NASCAR Winston Cup Series Banquet 400 from here in Kansas. Under caution, championship leader Brian Vickers has crashed in the NASCAR Busch Series race. Still under caution here at the Kansas Speedway, NASCAR Busch Series racing on NBC. More on NASCAR at NBCSports.com. An in-depth preview of tomorrow's Banquet 400 awaits you there. Plus, BP will tell you how he thinks NASCAR might change the system used to determine the champion. The NASCAR Winston Cup Series, NBCSports.com. What you think, BP? You think there's going to be some changes?
Oh, I think there are going to be some changes, but I don't think they're going to be major. I think maybe some subtle changes. Maybe even Jimmy Johnson would have won some points for winning the pole yesterday. You never know.
I think some subtle changes would be good, but nothing too big. I think our sport's based on consistency, and I think our point system should reflect that.
Michael Waltrip is the leader. We're closing in on halfway, and they're still picking up debris, as you see up there in turn 2. So let's take another break. Kansas and just back under green in the Mr. Goodcents 300. Michael Waltrip leads in the 99. The car that was inside, the white car, is Jeff Green. First car 1 lap down, trying to get back in front of the leader.
We've seen this movie before.
Yeah, like the last restart.
Yeah.
Couple of Owensboro, Kentucky natives.
Michael is just too strong.
Michael able to hold him off. 20 cars on the lead lap. Big story of the moment. Championship leader Brian Vickers involved in a crash a moment ago. Marty?
Alan, a wild day for Brian Vickers. He never got the handle on the race car, but what happened in the accident?
I don't know. It just got out from under me, and we went to the fence. I mean, you know, the GMAC crew did the best they could all weekend. This whole group, we're not going to give up. It's still a long year to go. But I tell you what, that car today, I've had cars with flat right rears and left rears that handle better than that. I don't know, something may have been wrong, maybe something broke. I don't know. It was more than evil. It was just horrible all day long, and the guys did the best they could to fix it on pit road, and you know, it didn't work out. But there's always next week. We'll never give up.
That's actually the second car he's wrecked this week. Had a wreck at testing in Charlotte earlier this week. He said both hits were pretty hard.
Glad to see he's okay. But the third hit he'll take this week is the big hit in the championship standings. As a result of the poor finish, he's going to be probably somewhere down around 37th or 38th when the checkered flag waves.
Hank Jr. just got a bravery award point. Did you see that pass on the apron?
I did. 3 wide. Talk about Hank Parker Jr., that 8 car. Just on the last lap. He's up in the 3rd position, challenging Mike Bliss in that 20 for second.
We spent so much time last week at Talladega talking about the out-of-bounds line. That rule does not apply here in Kansas or at any other track except Daytona. So if you can find a way to use the apron successfully, then you're welcome to it.
Getting on the apron is one thing. Coming back onto the banking is another, and that's usually where it gets interesting.
Parker Jr., solid run so far, Matt. 3rd place.
He has climbed up to 3rd, trying to win his first race, not in a fuel mileage type situation, but just on pure horsepower. The car tight early on. Kevin Bono-Mannion made some adjustments. It has worked. Now little Hank says, I can beat them all off of turn 2. I just need some help off turn 4.
Well, he's fallen back a little bit from Mike Bliss, and he's got a challenger on that rear bumper, the 1 car, Jamie McMurray.
For 3rd place.
Amazing what happens after you get some heat in the tires. Looks like Hank's now obviously slowing up. But when you get new tires on that car, you're so loose. Maybe it's loose enough and helps some guys move forward.
Here comes Hamilton Jr. Just got around Scott Riggs to pick up 7th. Now he's working on David Green for 6th. 46 car in front of them, Ashton Lewis running in 5th place. Remember, the 25 car was one of the few guys on the lead lap who pitted back at lap 85. Fell to 13th from 2nd. How about that 46 car, Marty?
Yeah, we haven't talked about him today, have we, Alan? He's having a terrific run. They've made no adjustments on that car throughout the day. They are set like a lot of teams who topped off a little earlier to go on one more stop for the rest of the race. And it was an off week last week. Ashton went to the U.S. Grand Prix in Indianapolis. Maybe he got a couple tips from those F1 guys. That's how to make that car fast. Doing really well, up in 5th right now for the youngster.
Racing there with David Green and Bobby Hamilton Jr. for that spot.
Bobby's car is one of the few that can sit right behind someone and still stay turning. Watch the 37 wash up, 25's coming inside of him now.
Yeah. Change for 2nd. Check that 3rd place. McMurray back by Parker Jr. Big race for that one team. Their sponsor, Yellow Transportation, based here in the Kansas City area. David Green to pick up 6th place now. So the 25 car is on the launch back toward the front.
As I said earlier, huge weekend for Hamilton Jr. and his team. Going to be running the NASCAR West Cup race tomorrow in a Marines car.
Qualified decent, too, for a one-off race, BP. 18th place. That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Hamilton Jr. yet to lead today, because Michael Waltrip's been in another zip code for most of the time.
The 25 is not the only one that has anything for the 99. It's just a matter of getting up there and getting to him.
Working on Ashton Lewis Jr. for 5th place.
And here we go. Ashton Lewis about to lose a spot to Hamilton Jr. That's 5th. Yep. Tony Raines, the 33 car, is slow to come down pit road. Looks like an engine problem, possibly. Marty?
He lost the engine, BP. He said it felt like it was a main bearing or something like that. And he's going to pull it down. They're going to, actually, they go right behind the wall. They were going to pop the hood. They sent him right to the wall. It is a terminal engine failure for Tony Raines, who had a great run going in the top 10.
It's too bad. Kind of been the story of his year. He's either finished up in the lead pack or not finished. One of the two. Michael Waltrip, just past halfway, has led 89 of the 107 laps that have been run so far here in Kansas. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans. By Advil Liquid Gels, liquid-filled capsules that rush strong pain relief where you need it. And by Miller High Life, to live simply, proudly, boldly, manly, this is the High Life. Michael Waltrip's dream machine is handled like a very sweet dream so far today here at the Kansas Speedway. He has led 94 of 112 laps, now 95 of 112. And he's out in front by 2 8/10 seconds, and the caution is coming out for the 22, Blake Mallory, blowing up.
And he did.
5th caution of the day.
Need to be on the apron right now, buddy.
Yeah, NASCAR's kind of hollering at him to get there. And the process of communication from race control to his spotter to him was taking a little longer than I think they might have liked.
Make the track slippery for a little bit.
So, 88 laps to go. Nobody can make it from here to the finish on fuel. But last time Michael Waltrip pitted was lap 66 under Green.
Well, Jimmy, you know, Jeff Green has been trying to stay up there. The first car, a lap down. Guess what?
He did it.
He's our lucky dog winner this time.
He is, and I'm glad to see that for the Herzog-Jackson team. And he had the 19 of Casey Mears breathing down his neck there, so the timing came out good for him.
So once they complete the round of pit stops and they get set for the restart, Jeff Green will be waved by the pace car, and he'll start last on the lead lap in 21st place. A good thing for him.
Very good thing.
Talked to Tony Liberati, the crew chief on that 92 team this morning. He said, you know, we need to find us a sponsor because I don't like this, just showing up at the racetrack every now and then. We need to be here every week.
No, I think he's been riding his Harley a little bit more than he's wanted to.
Yeah.
Even though he likes it, but I think he'd rather be at the racetrack.
What a place this is, huh? 3 years old. All 80,187 seats are sold. And they're all going to be watching some pit crews go to work right now. Michael Waltrip going to lead the field in. Stop's going to be at lap 114, and they'll be with 86 laps to go. Marty?
Second place man in the championship, Scott Riggs, his pit road running in the 8th position. An excellent chance for him to gain some ground today with Brian Vickers out of the race. 4 tires, the car is tight. They go up 2 rounds on the track bar. Dave?
Third place, Jamie McMurray. At first one, no adjustments. Then the car a little bit tight. They decided on little air out of both left side tires. Matt?
Michael Waltrip was about 15 laps shy of his window. They now feel like the calculations are going to be about a 3-second splash and go. If we do not get another caution, 4 tires for Michael Waltrip, no adjustments.
Got some guys played the 2-tire game there. Hamilton Jr. off pit road first, Hornaday off second. And Michael's going to come back out about 5th in line.
4 has got to be better unless you were really, really loose. 2-tire stop will probably work for you.
Check on that 25 car, but I'm pretty sure he just got 2 tires to go from 5th to 1st. So Michael's going to be farther back in traffic than he's been all day. Remember, he started on pole. The farthest back he's been in the field has been 2nd the entire race. Hamilton Jr. fuel only, no tires.
That'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Well, we'll find out.
We know we're not wearing them out here.
Here's the pit exit camera.
Okay, there, finally, Hornaday comes down pit road. Now, where's... Okay, finally, they're Fedewa, Scott Wimmer.
I know Wimmer got rights.
There comes Michael. I guess Bliss also, 4 tires.
Yep. Matt, how about Bobby Hamilton Jr.'s team making that no-tire call?
No tire call, Alan, because back on lap 85, they pitted and took on tires then. So now Harold Holley just going for track position.
Well, he's got it. New leader here at Kansas is Bobby Hamilton Jr. His first lap led all day. Back for the restart in a minute.
Tomorrow, our NBC Sports coverage of the Banquet 400 begins with the Discover Card Countdown to Green. We'll talk to the stars of the series as they get ready to race. We'll look back at Elliott Sadler's tumbling crash at Talladega. Dave explores the safety measures designed to protect a driver. Wally takes a look at the rapid response of the safety team. Benny shares some of the international flavor found in the Winston Cup garage. And we'll take a road trip with Matt and Katie Kenza.
My grandpa said, what's his name is here.
All tomorrow, beginning at 12:30 Eastern Time on the Discover Card Countdown to Green.
It should be fun.
That's love right there. When your family says, oh, what's his name's here?
Yeah. Matt Kenseth among those in the spotlight on Discover Card Countdown to Green, followed by 400 miles of Winston Cup racing from here in Kansas. 12:30 Eastern Time, NBC tomorrow. So we've seen some guys play the fuel-only game here under this caution flag. Hamilton Jr. leads. Ron Hornaday is second as the field is on the one-to-go lap before the restart. Tim Feeta with third. All those drivers just fuel only. Scott Wimmer, right side tires only. He's fourth. Then Michael Waltrip, who's led most of the race, now back to fifth on 4 tires. Mike Bliss sixth. Then Stacy Compton, fuel only to get up to seventh. Ashton Lewis 8th. Greg Biffle, right side tires only to go to 9th. And 10th is Jason Keller, followed by Kevin Harvick, Jamie McMurray, Scott Riggs, Casey Kane, Joni Machek, and Todd Bodine. David Green, an extra pit stop, back to 19th.
Let's talk with Wally. Hey, Wally BP, you got me?
Got you, BP.
Hey, you're only one spot away from the Lucky Dog Award.
I know it. I just can't get up there in that low line because this thing just on the restarts is so awful. I get run over. So we'll just keep working them.
Okay, just remember the 19 car. He's the lucky dog right now. Get up there.
Lucky dog. Now maybe we'll still be lucky dog before the day's over.
Hey, we're all here. We're lucky.
Pace truck's off now.
A handful of guys come down and top off if you want to go there. Lead lap cars, the 8 and the 92 I saw for sure.
The 27 and the 44 also came in and topped off.
Oh, man. Bobby.
He's going to be black flagged.
I hope to tell you.
The race leader has jumped the restart. Said he took off too early.
Folks, you saw the line there that signifies where the leader is somewhere in that area that you're supposed to, but it's not 100 yards before that.
I wasn't looking, and I didn't see it, but I feel terrible for him.
I'll bet you we'll show it to you again here in a second.
Oh,
Hamilton Jr. is going to get black flagged for jumping the restart.
I'll tell you what, he is so hot right now. Harold Holly, there's the black flag.
And further word from NASCAR Race Control is that failure to maintain speed on the restart, basically saying he brake checked the field and then took off.
Okay, Jimmy, watch. Now, he's supposed to restart. Well, we can't.
Farther ahead.
Much further ahead than there.
It looked like he brake checked. He just punched it early. And when you have Hornaday behind you, everybody knows Hornaday's going to get you on a restart. When you pull Hornaday like that, I guess you can't lie about it.
Well, that's not too good. He's on pit road now. And the new leader is Ron Hornaday in the 2. And this is the race for the lead. 23 Wimmer, the yellow car, the Stacker 2 machine, and Michael Waltrip in the 99. All racing for the lead.
So Wimmer, the 23, goes to the lead. Michael trying to get on the inside of the 2, does.
25 is trying to get off pit road and up to speed before the leaders get to him.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be close. I think he's going to make it.
It's going to drop him to 21st place. Still on the lead lap, though.
They're going to be on his bumper when he gets up to speed.
He's probably a little hot, so they'd have a heck of a time passing him right now, you think? Well, this race has had a couple of twists to it, and that's one of them. Hamilton Jr.'s team gets track position. The restart goes bad. Scott Wimmer now being challenged for the top spot by Michael Waltrip.
Oh, just drives by on the outside. How good is that?
Only guy to do it. The 21 right now is not very excited to see the 99 coming because he's just now on the tail end of the lead lap.
Michael's got 4 tires.
Whoa, Bliss is a big save.
Mike in that red and white 20 car there. Michael Waltrip with 4 tires on his pit stop a minute ago, so all these guys he's passing either with 2 or just fuel.
So here he is with 4 fresh tires back in front already.
Whoa, trouble, turn 4. Tim Fedewa again. Another long slide off the corner, down into the tri-oval grass.
Almost on top of his old marks.
Yeah.
And guess what? The keeps her going once again.
Kind of consistency.
What do Yogi say? This is deja vu all over again.
That's a big break for Hamilton Jr., that caution.
Our Lucky Dog Award is going to go to none other than Wally Dallenbach.
You know, you're right.
Because 2 cars on the lead that advanced.
Yep. When Hamilton Jr. had his penalty and pulled off, Johnny Sauter and Casey Mears went in front of the then leader, and that put Wally up there to get the old Lucky Dog Award.
Hey, Wally, BP. I guess he's talking to the crew. Wally, BP.
BP.
You lucky dog, you.
The lucky dog?
Yeah.
Lucky dog, I'm the lucky dog.
Yes, you are. Congratulations.
Thanks. I'd like to thank all my sponsors for this Lucky Dog Award. And, good. Now we get on the lead lap. Keep working it.
Just keep working it. Attaboy.
Let me tell you who we need to thank. We need to thank Bobby Hamilton Jr. for jumping the start of the race, because that let Sauter and Casey Mears on the lead lap, put us 1 lap down behind the leader. So we need to thank him.
That's right, Larry Mack.
Thank everybody.
Casey Kane got a piece of Fedewa.
Is there anything we can do? We got time.
It looked like the 29 was around the right rear of the 12 and pulled him around sideways. And the 38, I think, gets into the 12 here. Yep.
Yeah. Has nowhere to go. Just kind of bulldozes them out of the way.
Yeah.
But these noses are not made to be bulldozers.
On board Casey Kane, listen.
Low, come on down. Hold what you got, all right? Come on. Caution's out.
There are pins and needles out there. I mean, when the car has consistent air on it, you think your life is great, and then as soon as somebody gets in the wrong spot around your car, it causes a lot of trouble.
Got 6, 7, 8, 9 cars coming down pit road. 6 of them on the lead lap. Ron Hornaday, Casey Kane, Jason Leffler, Joe Nemechek, Scott Riggs. Most of them just topping off the fuel, Matt.
And that's exactly what the 2 car is going to do. They're going to change tires and top off for fuel while the debate continues with the leaders of whether to pit or not pit. Michael Waltrip at this point, 5 to 6 laps shy. Ricky Byers wasn't going to chance it. As the 12 also hits pit road.
And Bobby Hamilton Jr., as we talked, we see him doing the work on Casey Kane's right front where he made contact with the 12. And, we talked about Hamilton Jr. getting black flag. Well, one saving grace, he is still on the lead lap. In 20th position, but on the lead lap.
Caught a caution early enough.
He didn't pit there. He's going to pick up spots on all these guys that stopped. Michael Waltrip leads, 75 laps to go. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. Back at Kansas Speedway, 1 to go is the signal at the start-finish line, and Michael Waltrip's going to give up the lead for fuel, Matt.
They went back and forth with the fuel mileage calculations and still felt like they needed to come this time. Michael said that he had not been conservative, so they felt like they needed to come in and top off, Dave.
Jamie McMurray's crew is going to make a wedge adjustment and put scuffs on the car. He's a little bit tight. And on their first green flag run, they went 65 laps. And remember, you're always a little bit conservative on that first run. So who knows, 68, 69, maybe?
So you let the jack down, and Jamie did not have it in gear.
Make sure the rev limiter was working.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing, though, I think these guys made a mistake. I mean, they had a chance to make up some spots on pit road if they would have came in originally with the lead lap cars.
So Michael, going to have to check where he comes back out, but he's going to be like maybe 19th or 20th in line here with 72 laps to go. Supercuts would like you to be there at track guest at the Supercuts Presents NASCAR Busch Series Racing from Phoenix event on November 1st. Log on to NASCAR.com for information about the Supercuts sweepstakes and tune in to TNT November 1st and watch NASCAR Busch Series Racing from Phoenix presented by Supercuts.
So maybe there'll be a good time for me to get a haircut at Phoenix.
Get a haircut, singular?
Singular, yeah. I didn't say anything about hairs.
That's what I thought. Scott Wimmer is the leader. Greg Biffle is second. Ashton Lewis third. Mike Bliss fourth. Stacy Compton is fifth. We'll check Michael Waltrip's restart position, 19th with 72 laps to go.
Well, Scott Wimmer made sure he was to the restart line before he restarted that time.
Absolutely, and hats off to Greg Biffle and that team. But the problem they had on earlier in the race with the window net being down, here they are in second with the end of the race in sight and packing a lot of air under the back of the 23.
Yeah,
maybe not be second for long.
Yeah.
Here comes Biffle. Biffle out in front, Marty.
He's done an outstanding job, Alan. They've been really calm on the radio. They've known that they've had a good car all day long. When the window net thing happened, they didn't panic at all. Biffle kept coming up through the field. Problem is, they are 20 laps short on fuel. They will have to stop again.
That was at lap 45 that Biffle had the window net down and had to make the green flag pit stop.
Oh, we got a car spinning.
Ramon, Jason White. Now he's turning behind the wall.
I thought he was spinning. He was just turning.
He was making an unorthodox turn, but he had a mechanical problem, and he got it off the track and let it stay under green.
Very nice, Jason.
There you go.
Kevin Harvick's thinking about making the outside worker on Hank Jr.
Harvick trying to get fifth place away from Hank. 29 car Harvick this week. You asked me earlier during a commercial, why is Harvick running the 29 car? Story is he had cut this deal with Sonic, one of his sponsors, to run this Kansas City race before Richard Childress came up with the package from the Payday people for Harvick and Johnny Sauter to split the time in the 21. So that's why they have the extra car here this week, and Harvick's in this car.
Matt, what's your story on that?
Well, in fact, Benny, back in September, Kevin called Wally Rogers, who will work for Kevin's truck team next year, and said, hey, I think I kind of have you involved in something. How about being a Busch Series crew chief when we get to Kansas? And Wally says, all right, we'll do it. They've had a great time this weekend, but it also gives Wally another chance just to work with Kevin because he will be working with that truck organization next year.
And Kevin Harvick took field and effort in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in 2004. And he is right now, whoa, Mike Bliss. Yeah.
Bliss all of a sudden is very slow in that 20 car.
He just lost third to Ashton Lewis.
He's wishing he could get to pit road right now, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, he's got a problem. He's heading down on the apron. Here's second place, Ashton Lewis. What a great drive.
Terrific run for Ashton, the 46 car.
31-year-old from Chesapeake, Virginia, same hometown as Ricky Rudd.
The Civil Air Patrol in second spot. Marty, what about Ashton?
He's doing a great job, BP. They were a little tight on the last run, and when they did come down pit road during their last stop, they took a pound out of the right front tire. That's the only adjustment they've made to the car today. This is a team looking for a sponsor next year, and they are also about 10 laps short on fuel, unfortunately.
The 20 is slowing. Timmy Schutt asked Mike Bliss, did you swap boxes? He said, yes, that's not it. I believe maybe now it's a valve.
So engine trouble there for the Joe Gibbs 20, and Mike Bliss off the pace and falling down through the lead lap. He's in 19th now.
Now we look around, there's blue skies, but there's one little black cloud that's following that 20 around all day long.
I'm telling you.
All this year, it seems like.
Hamilton Jr. has just gone by the 59 car to take a spot.
Watching Michael Waltrip. Remember, he restarted back in 19th place. He's up to 15th now. Working on Ron Hornaday in the 2 for 14th. And David Green trying to follow him through in that 37.
A bunch of cars right there. Hornaday, Mike Wallace.
Ooh, which way? Hornaday chose the wrong line there.
The 99 has given us all hope for a top group tomorrow.
He's given me hope for an exciting finish, because I'll tell you why. After the penalty, when Hamilton Jr. fell back, got the caution, caught back up. Remember we said we all thought Hamilton Jr. was the only one that had anything for Michael. Well, Hamilton Jr. stayed out in that last caution. He's in front of Michael. So now Michael's got to come up and pass Hamilton Jr. and all these other cars in the final 64 laps.
So Hank Parker Jr. trying to get by Scott Wimmer for third spot. He has the preferred line for most, maybe not Michael Walter, but most cars want the bottom, and Parker Jr. goes to the position, third position.
Greg Biffle out in front, 7th different driver to lead the Mr. Goodcents 300 at the Kansas Speedway. He's up by 1 second on Ashton Lewis. We're back at Kansas. Trouble in turn 4, Johnny Sauter in a heavy crash. Trying to extricate himself from the car.
And you see he walked away from his radio hookup, but he was not worried anything about that. He was just worried about getting out.
Big crash.
Car's full of fuel. It looked to me like the fire extinguisher in the trunk might have worked. I think that fire that we saw maybe was a left rear tire or outside the trunk area.
You know, you have a pit stop and the fuel neck is full of fuel.
Yeah,
That's usually what ends up burning.
Let's check out what happened. See if we can pick it up for Johnny Sauter. I don't know if he and Mike Wallace got involved or not.
I don't think so. I was looking up there, Alan. I think he just lost the car by himself. And we see the fire inside the trunk, which sets off the fire extinguisher, and I think it worked.
You're exactly right, BP. On board, Chad Blunt.
Watch in front of you. Watch in front of you. Clear.
Maybe being side by side.
That's exactly what you thought. He was on the inside and lost that cushion of air to lean against, and around it went.
And just, if you're not familiar with what Benny's referring to, after a couple of scary fires earlier this summer, NASCAR mandated a new extinguisher system in the trunk where there's a fire bottle dedicated just to that trunk area and a heat-sensitive trigger that when that thing flares up, automatically sets off the fire bottle. Looked like it did the job there. So tip of the cap for another new safety item that has been installed in 2003. 59 laps to go under caution here at Kansas City. Johnny Sauter with a heavy crash in turn 4. NASCAR Busch Series Racing, presented by Midas, is brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Busch, the proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series. By Midas, visit your local Midas mechanic today. And by Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles, scooters, and all-terrain vehicles. Back at Kansas, pit road is open. For lead lap cars, under caution after Johnny Sauter spun and crashed in turn 4, the leader Greg Biffle comes in. Michael Waltrip stays out. Hamilton Jr. comes in. Marty.
Biffle, the very first pit stall in the end of pit road. He said, I know some guys are going to take 2, but I think we should take 4. There'll be no changes on the car. Ashton Lewis in the middle of your screen. 4 tires, one round of wedge out. Car a little bit tight for Ashton, hoping to get it a little bit looser on this next run. Matt?
Before the caution, Scott Wimmer was 10 laps shy of making it. They also made a track bar adjustment, went up, going to put a set of scuffed tires on the 23 car. Dave?
57 car of Jason Keller leaving pit road now. They went up on the track bar. The car was tight, and he also didn't like that last set of tires. Said he felt a vibration, so they wanted to make sure they changed those tires when they filled it with fuel.
Keller rejoins the chase. Just joining us, big story today, Brian Vickers, championship leader, involved in a crash back at lap number 89. Was racing 25th at the time, having a poor day. He has just returned to the racetrack, 49 laps down in 36th position. Hank Parker Jr. takes over the lead by not pitting under this caution flag. We'll reset it for you after they clean up. We get set to go back to green. How about a regular 5-star finish? We got a great Busch Series championship shaping up this year. Well, how about 1992? That's Bobby Labonte in the season's final race in Hickory. Going into the race, Joe Nemechek had a 33-point lead over Labonte. Bobby did what he had to do to win the race, but Joe wound up finishing 6th and took the championship by 3 points. Count them, 3.
Wow, that's close.
I remember the day well. Most disappointed winner I ever saw was Bobby Labonte when he got out of his car in victory lane and they told him he lost the championship.
So close.
NBC after NASCAR, the Road to the World Thoroughbred Championships, top horses and live tune-up races as we close in on horse racing's richest day, the Breeders' Cup, which comes up October 25th.
all this horsepower we've got here, and we're going to 1 horsepower after this.
But the object is still the same. First one to the finish line wins.
Right.
And
Exactly.
it's exciting getting there.
Oh, it is. That's right.
That's next after NASCAR on NBC.
They don't have to worry about pit stops or fuel mileage.
Nope. And what amazes me, those horses try to win just like you guys try to win.
Yep. I'd rather crash in a car than fall off a horse, though.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Just want to go back. We were talking about the new... all right, we'll show that in a minute. A little confusion here. We are on 1 to go.
We are? Well, no cars are pulling up on the inside. We don't... It's legal to put up beside the leader, but I guess all the cars that are lapped down feel like they're not going to get their lap back, so they just kind of hang behind the leader. That's pretty good.
Hank Parker is wishing there was a lot of cars pulling up inside
exactly.
right now.
That was what confused me, BP, was that there's nobody on the inside of the leader.
Nobody at all.
Parker Jr. leads. Kevin Harvick is second. Michael Waltrip is third. Scott Riggs fourth. Todd Bodine fifth. Ron Hornaday sixth. None of those 6 made a pit stop under this caution. First one off pit road, Joe Nemechek in the 87. He is 7th. Harvick for the lead on Parker Jr.
Oh, he just drives by him on the outside. What a run he got. Now, where's Michael going to go? He's trying to figure it out.
Michael wants to go to the front.
Yeah, I was just saying, my thought is Michael's going to go to the lead. Strong as that car's been today.
He's going to have his hands full with Kevin. Kevin's been getting stronger and stronger as the race has gone on, and now that he's got clean air, he's going to be tough.
Harvick out front, first time all race. 52 laps to go. Scott Riggs now going to try and follow Michael up underneath Hank Parker Jr. Michael Waltrip has led 102 of the 148 laps that have been completed as we work lap 149 now. Yeah, we're talking about Hank Parker Jr. I'm checking back on Bobby Hamilton Jr.
Another junior.
Yeah, running back in 12th spot. Look at Hornaday slipping back there in that too. Remember, he was up toward the front of that restart.
His vibration evidently is not getting any better.
Here's 46 of Ashton Lewis trying to work his way back to the front.
Lewis Jr. back in 14th place. Jason Keller behind him, also running for that spot, as well as Casey Mears.
All right, here's Mikey right on the back bumper of Harvick. A couple of very experienced race car drivers, very good drivers.
Got the 8 of Hank Parker Jr. closing back in on these guys as well.
Matt, how about that 8 car?
Little Hank keyed the mic last time by and said, Bono, for some reason, it just got really loose up off the corner. That's why they got by, but the car feels very comfortable now.
I think he had the 29 at his right rear corner. Didn't help it.
Underneath him, yeah.
Just like that.
Getting those cars right by your right rear corner really does affect your car, doesn't it?
Terribly. And you feel everything's fine, you're committed to your line, and then before you know it, it gets ugly quick.
Michael going to try low. Not quite. Sure letting Kevin know he's there. All right, I'll back up and try and get a run at him through the center of the corner. And he did. Look at him close right up.
Michael's car runs better in that high line than any car we've seen today. And we know he'll be trying to take that 15 car up there tomorrow.
Well, you hear him just barely off the gas.
Michael's really trying to, cross through Kevin's wake, so to say, and find clean air, but Kevin's doing a good job of blocking it. The only thing is Michael's been on the top longer and is carrying more momentum, and one of these times he's going to get position alongside the 29.
Michael gets a really good run from the center of 1 and 2 off of turn 2. It's like from there to this point, he closes right up on him. And then he has to regroup and start again.
Problem problem is, too, for Michael.
Now he's got to run.
There he goes. As he catches him, he closes up to him. He's also pushing the 29 away from him, so all that momentum he catches him with, he kind of shoves him out ahead of him, too.
And watch this. Michael just going to drive by on the outside. Awesome.
Now it doesn't matter.
Great car, Michael.
Memo to Winston Cup drivers, there is an outside lane.
Yes, there is. And little Hank is coming forward, too.
Trying to get second spot on Kevin Harvick. Hank Parker Jr.
Now, Michael has shown Kevin that there is grip on the outside.
Caution.
Kevin will try it.
Caution for debris on the backstretch.
Oh, boy, is there ever.
Whoop.
There was.
Now somebody's picked it up. And that's not good. 8th caution flag.
Looks like Shelby Howard this time is going to be the lucky winner of getting a lap back.
Probably tell what that is. Looks like tape almost.
Looks like tape, but you can't really tell. There he is.
18 years old.
Man. Just won an ARCA race at Salem Speedway a couple of weeks ago.
In his first NASCAR Busch Series event here, said the deal only came together 3 days ago for him to run this race this weekend. Michael Waltrip is out in front. Under caution, 45 laps to go. Midas presents NASCAR Busch Series Racing from Kansas. Coming up Monday night at 8/7 Central on NBC, it's a wild Sin City Fear Factor, followed by NBC's new drama, Las Vegas. Yikes. Games begin Monday night at 8/7 Central on NBC.
I watched that Las Vegas show last week. Pretty good. I enjoyed it.
You relate to Las Vegas well.
Oh, yes. I like Las Vegas. Sure do.
Wallet a little thicker or something?
Huh?
Wallet thicker or thinner?
Thinner.
Thinner?
Yeah, when I go out there.
So why'd you like it? Why do you like it then?
I don't know.
The chance that it might be thicker.
A chance. Just a
opportunity.
Chance. Yeah, opportunity. That's right.
Watching the NASCAR Busch Series teams do their work. The Winston Cup garage, all quiet. Almost.
Everybody got to go home, but your guys, Jimmy.
I know. I keep looking over there, hoping that the hood goes down and they go home soon. But
I noticed you keep looking over there. That's why That's why I had him put it on the camera.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Chad Canals, Jimmy's crew chief, was supposed to join Jimmy and Benny and I to call today's race. He naturally canceled out to pay attention to his race car, but we'll get Chad up here again. I know he was looking forward to doing it, and we'll get a make good.
Yep. The car looks good, though.
Yeah, it'll be fast.
Motors in it?
It'll be fast. We'll come see you in the morning, and you'll tell us, yep, we're good to go.
I'll tell you that now. I know we're going to be good to go. I just hope that that's the way it all works out.
Yeah, it will be.
Let's try Wally again, see. Hey, Wally, BP, you got me?
Loud and clear, BP.
All right, we're going to have about 40 laps to go. You're in 21st spot, lead lap, and you changed 4 tires. You ready for these guys now?
We're just rolling the dice, and hopefully if this thing goes green all the way, we'll have a little bit better tires than some of these other guys. But we'll see what we get.
We just ran a Las Vegas promo, and you're gambling. That's a good deal.
Everybody's working hard trying to get what we can get, so track is in very good shape. They will get lucky and pick a few more of these guys off.
Okay, see you later, Wally. Good luck.
While Wally is back taking a gamble on tires, Michael Waltrip is out in front. He's been the man out in front most of the day today. Let's check in his pit.
Well, Alan there was for now go on that, holding those 2 guys.
Guess what?
Matt, having a little trouble with your microphone there, Matt. We'll come back to you in just a second, since we were hearing about every third word you said.
Yeah.
He sounded good that way, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I don't think so.
When it's working, he'll tear us a new one.
Yeah, that's right. Mikey out in front for 106 of the 158 laps that have been run today. See if Harvick can do anything with him here on this restart as we get set to go.
I bet you we can figure what Bobby Kennedy was going to say, right? They have enough fuel. They plan on winning the race. But the most laps are in good shape.
Kevin Harvick second, Hank Parker Jr. third, Scott Riggs. Oh, Harvick for the lead on Michael.
Wow, look at that.
No contest.
And Hank Jr.
Hank.
Trying to go to second spot.
Now remember, Michael's car, the MO there is usually better on the longer run. It takes him a couple laps to get going.
I don't understand how that works like that every single week. It's like for a corner or two, the car doesn't go, and then it's unbeatable.
Yeah. So Michael's going to want this thing to run green from now to the finish to get back by Harvick and try and get away. Because if he gets a restart in the final 10 laps, in that situation, it's going to be tough.
Very tough.
So after Harvick gets by, here comes Mikey closing back in. I don't understand how that works either. Just, you know, how you guys can set a car up to be better on a long run. Or is it just work that way?
I just think it's the way the driver sets a car up, period. And that's just the way it works. And that's why it works almost every race. Michael Waltrip will set a car up to be better on a long run almost every race.
Yeah, you know, and the biggest thing that happens there from a handling perspective is you try to have it as loose as possible at the beginning so that at the end of the run you're tight enough to, you're not too tight, I should say, but that looks more like a tire pressure situation to me, to where it's just not there for the first corner. And he's all over the back of the 29 and looking to the outside of him.
It's there now. To the outside for the race lead.
Also, we can't deny Kevin Harvick's bravery for driving it in there. He probably flat-footed 1 and 2 is what happened there more than anything, and Michael was being a little conservative trying to get through 1 and 2 strong.
So Michael Waltrip back out in front. Our pit crew went to work on Matt's mic. I bet they got it fixed, huh, Matty?
They sure did, Alan. Bobby Kennedy, what happened on that restart?
I don't know. He never said anything. Maybe he dozed off, but looks like he's back awake now. I think we're okay.
Now, how is that car out in fresh air? Better?
Oh, yeah, a lot better. You know, and it takes us a few laps to get going. And for like, 10 to 20 laps on, our car's really, really fast.
Harvick trying to put a little pressure back on Mikey.
Harvick looks really strong through 1 and 2. It looks like they have the track flipped where one's stronger than the other.
Hey, there's some good racing just behind them, too. See Riggs there beginning to be closed on by Hamilton Jr. and Nemechek. Here's Hamilton Jr. underneath Nemechek for 5th place. Keep your eye on that 25 car.
They awarded passing points.
Yeah.
Hamilton Jr. would be cashing in today.
Boy, he would. And he's still got 35 laps, and we know how good that Marines car is, so he's not out of this thing by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and he's not too far behind the leaders either.
How about 25, Matt?
On the radio, Harold Holley, the crew chief, is doing most of the talking, calming Bobby Jr. down after that black flag penalty. But Bobby, very quiet on the radio, but Harold keeps telling him, you have the best car out there. Be patient. Just work one at a time. The next guy up, the 8 of Hank Jr. Marty?
That problem for Scott Riggs, and you saw Hamilton Jr. go by him. His car is tight, but when someone gets to the side of him, Jimmy, maybe you can explain this, his car gets looser, and it really makes him uncomfortable when he's letting these guys go by.
Some cars are more sensitive than others. A lot of it depends on where the roof's placed on the car and also the deck lid. And some cars that I have are more sensitive to that than others. And evidently, the 10's got one that's real sensitive to that.
Oh, Casey Kane looks like his day might be over.
Yep. Started on the outside of the front row, had a strong run going, but got some damage when Tim Fedewa got loose and spun across his nose earlier.
Sounds like an engine. I'm surprised the caution isn't out.
You know what? My guess is that when he made contact with the 12 car, that the car overheated, the water overheated, which caused an engine problem, would be my guess. Matt?
Benny, the crew just asked him about the car. He says the motor's done.
Yeah.
And David Green and Joe Nemechek going to race here for 6th and 7th place as Casey Kane heads back to the garage. Tell you what, David Green's had to rally back. They had an extra pit stop earlier when they had some lugs left on the left side of their car. He fell back to 17th of lap 114. And Hamilton Jr. keeps rolling.
He goes into 3rd spot by Hank Parker Jr.
The question is, when he gets to Michael, will he have any tire left? He's definitely got the speed right now.
And he's less than 2 seconds behind Michael Waltrip. But you know that Bobby Kennedy, the crew chief for Michael, just keeps telling him about the 25 car. Maybe Michael might be coasting a little bit right now.
Well, they ran about the same. Caution is out. Oil.
Got caution.
Or debris. Oh, there it is.
It's like a water pump.
That's the
oil pump or water pump?
That's a mandrel off the front of the car. Off the front of the crankshaft.
Whoops.
Oh, there it is. So he broke a crankshaft in that car.
That's not good.
No, that's not good at all.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have tied the NASCAR Busch Series record for most cautions in a race here at Kansas. Yellow number 9. Goes back to what I said earlier. We just seem to have a lot of cautions at this racetrack. Winston Cup race has been the same way.
I think we're going to have a great finish here. You've got the 29 that's going to probably get inside the 99 on the restart. You've got the 25 that's now in third, and it's probably the fastest car on the track. Everybody stay tuned in. It's going to be a good finish.
And Michael Waltrip needs a longer run to really get away. So let's take our final break here. 30 laps to go. Michael Waltrip, Kevin Harvick, Bobby Hamilton Jr. setting up a shootout to the finish at Kansas. Okay, Tom, thanks. A little higher octane horsepower here as Midas presents NASCAR Busch Series Racing, and we're setting up for a pretty intriguing finish of this one. Michael Waltrip leads, but he's got Kevin Harvick and a fast-closing Bobby Hamilton Jr. behind him, and we're inside of 30 laps to go. Under caution because Casey Kane lost an engine and left some valuable parts out on the racetrack. BP?
Well, let me show you what broke off Casey Kane's car as we go in our engine. Here is the mandrel that bolts into the front of the crankshaft, and all the belts run off this. Here's the power steering belt. The alternator belt runs off the water pump, and here is the water pump belt. But this mandrel somehow broke off. My guess is that the crankshaft broke right behind this, spit that thing out.
And as Ken Schrader says, that's one of those real important parts you need to go fast.
Oh, yeah.
And that explains why Casey said that we are definitely done.
Yep. Couple more laps of caution before we get back under green. Matt, what do you got on pit road for us?
Well, Bobby Hamilton Jr. has climbed back into contention this thing. Harold Holly, your man's in third. Does he have enough car? Because he certainly has fresher tires. Does he have enough car to get around those guys?
I think so. If we can get around the 29 in a hurry, I believe we'll have a little something for the 99. But when the 99's out front in that clean air, he gets away in an awful hurry. So I can't say no. Bobby's come from the back about 3 different times today, and he's just doing a fantastic job out there, keeping his head on, keeping his patience. We came in that last time. We was going to be about 10 laps short, so there's no way we could make it. So maybe those guys in front of us won't be able to. But he's doing an awesome job in Team Marines Ford Taurus. Pit crew's doing an awesome job. But I'm sure he's going to race them hard.
In 14 races since Harold Holly's come on board with this team, 2 wins, 10 top 10 finishes, trying for win number 3, Marty.
Matt Scott Riggs is sitting in 5th with a car that's tight when it's by itself, loose when it's around other cars. So Doug Randolph, how do you fix that?
Well, that's a tough one to fix. You know, we've been struggling with the handle a little bit today on the Nesquik Roundup Taurus. And when he's by himself, he's just a little bit tight, not too bad. But, man, when we get a pack of traffic, we get pretty loose. So we just tried to play our fuel mileage here, and we're going to play the cards we're dealt and hang in there for the best finish we can today.
He is aware of the problems Brian Vickers had earlier, trying to gain some points. Matt?
Kevin Harvick will restart second. Your man very strong on restarts. If he gets the position, will be able to hold Michael off again?
I don't know. The Sonic Chevy is pretty good right now, but that 99 car is pretty stout. I'd just like to thank Richard and all the guys at RCR, all their teams, man, just for giving me this opportunity to work with Kevin.
Because you're on loan.
Yeah, I'm kind of on loan from Kevin's truck team. But I'd just like to thank them for that, and we'll see what happens here in a little bit.
And remember on that last restart, when the 99 and the 29 were battling, the spotter for Kevin Harvick's radio came unplugged, so he couldn't tell Kevin where that 99 was.
Brian Vickers involved in a crash earlier, 34th place, the Busch Series Championship, nail-biting time. And this finish will be 2.
See if Kevin's able to flat foot 1 and 2 again, and if Michael can step up to Kevin's charge.
27 laps to go. Michael Waltrip leads. Kevin Harvick second. Bobby Hamilton Jr. third. Here comes Harvick to Waltrip's back bumper.
This time looks like
Jr. too.
Yeah, and Hamilton Jr. Michael, I think, did a better job. He was more aware this time. And here comes Jr. Hamilton on the inside, blows by Harvick for second spot. That's what Harold said they needed, to get by the 29 quickly.
Quickly, and he did.
Matt talks about fresher tires. Hamilton Jr.'s tires are 30 laps fresher than Michael Waltrip's. Not all of them under green.
That's definitely going to work in his favor.
Hamilton Jr. penalized for jumping a restart at lap 118. Pitted at lap 120. Who's that? That's Todd Bodine, dusting the top lane. Was in 8th place last lap.
And Todd appears to have a problem, either a flat tire or engine problem or something. He finally gets it back down to the apron. Looks like an engine problem. Dave?
Guys, I think they broke a valve, and that's a shame because they were running in the top 5 and in the top 10, and this was Todd's 300th Busch Series start. Only the 7th guy ever to accomplish that.
Going to come up shy of the finish today. Or finish poorly, depending on what the problem is here. Here's a race for a position among championship contenders. Scott Riggs, David Green. Greg Biffle closing into the 7 as well. Remember that Riggs and Green tangled at Dover. When Green was the point leader and Riggs was second, Riggs bumped Green from behind and David crashed. Let's see what kind of pressure he applies here to try and get that spot.
And how much resistance that Riggs puts up against that challenge.
They raced hard and clean earlier, so I wouldn't expect anything at this point, but
I wouldn't either.
37 definitely give them a hard time, and that's just what you're supposed to do.
Things are just so close in this Busch Series championship, though. These guys have got to race each other for every point, and a position are points.
In this situation right now, if Green, the 37, can get by the 10 of Riggs, that's 5 points. And as you said, at the end, that make the difference in winning and losing.
And if Green does it in the right manner and slows up the 10, the 7 might be able to follow him through, and then he's got a little cushion.
Yeah, that's 10 points that he gained on him.
Talked about the incident between them at Dover last race 2 weeks ago. We talked with David earlier this morning about getting back to racing with a rival, a guy you've got to fight for the championship, and how you get past what happened last race.
Right after. Actually, I tried to get out of there before had an opportunity to talk, even though I knew what Scott said over the radio. I saw his interview after as it was changing, and after that, it was all done. I mean, anything after that, we would just be rambling on about stuff that we could not fix. We couldn't go back and change the outcome. But, he's still a guy that I respect a lot in the series, and we will race feverishly like we did prior to that deal. But, it's hard to swallow, hard to forget about some of those scenarios that, and I just hope that when it comes down to the end of the year, if we can pull this deal off, obviously it won't be a factor.
That's what you hope for, that it is not a factor when the race is over, when the season is over.
But what he kind of left unsaid there was, if it comes down to the end of the season and he loses the championship by 15 or 20 points that he might have lost in that crash,
yeah,
the potential is there for that to kind of stick in your craw.
Yeah, I don't think Scott will be getting a Christmas card or anything if that's the case.
Yeah. Well, David passed Scott Riggs to pick up the 6th spot. Now he's working on Hank Parker Jr. for 4th.
And Biffle's also able to get by the 10 car. Dave, that 37 looking good right now.
Yeah, and he wants that cushion of Hank Parker Jr. between him and the 10 car, too, because he talked about, maybe these 8 guys will work with us. And they may not have to. He just passed him.
So David Green to 4th place and making a bid to try and reclaim the Busch Series championship lead today.
Behind the 10, there's a long line of cars that if the 10 isn't able to get up, get going, he could probably lose 3 or 4 more spots easily.
Wow. 58 points to 4th. And after today, there'll be 6 races to go. It's going to come right down to the season finale in Homestead, mid-November. Last time I remember going into a championship with 3 drivers close together going into the last race of the season was that great 92 Winston Cup fight with Kawicki and Elliott and Davey Allison at Atlanta.
The 5 or 6 drivers mathematically had a chance to win that championship in Atlanta.
And it was a thriller of the day.
It was unbelievable.
It depends on who you are. If you're the crew chief or the driver, you're hating it.
Yeah. You want to be out front by a bunch.
Riggs about to lose another spot to Jason Keller at 57.
And from Scott's perspective on the Dover incident, just to put a button on that, no one felt worse about it than he did.
Oh, that's true.
No one. He doesn't want to race that way. It happened. He felt badly about it. He can't change it now. How about Jason Keller, Dave?
This is better than they expected to do because I checked in their pit very tight behind other cars, and they lost track position when they took on 4 tires on that last stop. Talked to Steve Addington, the crew chief. We only wanted to take on 2, he said, but remember that vibration we had to change all 4.
Meanwhile, as we watch this, Jason Keller, now he pulls up behind Hank Parker Jr.
It's going to be for 6th place, BP.
And Hank Parker Jr., the 8 car, he's spending some money these last 10 laps or so. Lost 4 or 5 spots.
Spending some money?
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, he's losing money because they pay for each position. Pays more for 4th than it does 6th.
You see the 57 stall out the 8. When you get inside someone like that, you just try to put your right front fender at their left rear quarter, and it changes the air and dumps it onto the spoiler of the other car, and it's like dragging the brakes. It really stops the car, and you try to time it right, too, also going into the corner so you can slow them down enough to clear them getting in the turn.
And we've often told you fans that you can feel a car beside of you, and that's how you can feel it because your car starts slowing down.
Parker Jr. slipping back a little bit, Matt.
And a tight condition, Benny, is costing him positions and costing him a lot of money.
Yes, it is. Spending that cash.
While all this has been going on, all these races for position, up front, Michael Waltrip starting to drive away from Hamilton Jr.
That's about a second right now between himself and the 25 car, a little over a second.
25 reeled him in, got within a couple car lengths, spent a few laps there, and then has slipped back. I would imagine the 25 would be tight as well.
Michael's car been better on the long run all day, and once he got away from that initial burst on the restart, he's been able to take advantage of it and open up a gap now of 1.13 seconds.
And how many laps does Michael have to run since his last stop? About 75?
He topped off with 73 to go.
73 to go.
But he's had a lot of caution flag laps.
Right.
That's the thing. Where's that? Well, give me a second. I'll get those numbers together. How's that?
Here we go. David Green, 37, going to 3rd spot.
Marching forward.
Yes. He's making some money.
Yeah. Yes, he is. Kevin's losing some money. In Kevin's situation, he just wanted to win.
Yeah.
Not racing for points.
Out of that 73 laps to go, he's had 18 laps of caution.
Yeah, so he could probably easily run about 70 laps of green flag races. So I think Michael will be able to make it okay on fuel.
Good to go. Impressive charge late here by David Green.
Sure is.
I don't think there's any way he can get the second unless a caution comes out. He's right 3 or 4 seconds at least behind second place of Bobby Hamilton Jr.
David charging forward here in these late laps from 6th to 3rd. And there'll be 10 laps to go when the leader comes back around. David Green, 45 years old, Owensboro, Kentucky, 1994 NASCAR Busch Series champion. Trying to do it again a decade later.
And this guy driving the 99 car, Michael Waltrip, also from Owensboro, Kentucky. Going by Brian Vickers. And I can't believe, my hat's off to that crew on the 5 car. There's no way in the world I thought they'd be able to get that car back on the speedway.
Brian Vickers, yeah.
Amazing.
Big crash for Brian at lap 89. Was the championship leader coming into the race. That'll be one of the big stories of the day. He'll finish 33rd at this point. And that, being out there with a car repaired like that, can't be any fun.
No. Just didn't hit hard enough to put it on the trailer.
Well, it did. But they did put it on the trailer.
Yeah. I would imagine he's a little aero-tight right now without any fenders.
So Vickers going to have a tough day in the championship and lose some ground. Again, with just 6 races left to go in the season. This has been quite a season for Michael Waltrip in this NASCAR Busch Series team. He's run 15 races this season. He's got 10 straight. He's got 10 top 10 finishes, including 9 straight. 4 top 5s in the last 5 that he's run. 1 at Bristol in August. He and Bobby Kennedy have sort of ramped up Michael's Busch Series organization.
Yeah.
And Bobby moving on from this team at the end of this season to run a Craftsman truck operation for Michael's brother Darrell next year. But Michael talks very freely, giving much credit to Bobby Kennedy for what he's done to build this Busch Series organization up into one that every time Michael gets into the car, he knows he's got a chance to win.
Yep. And I really think you're seeing a lot of the Winston Cup influence come over into Michael's Busch car and also into Kevin Harvick's Busch car, Brian Bittner's Busch car. Those guys have a little bit of an advantage knowing what's going on the Cup side, and it pays off. I mean, we're learning so much on the Cup side, and if you can take some of that to the Busch side, you know, you're going to have a good advantage. And these guys have been doing their work and applying it to the Busch car, and it doesn't always apply. I mean, it is a different race car, a different engine, different wheelbase, and it's tough to get it to apply.
Matt, you must have something to add.
Well, Benny, talking about Bobby Kennedy and leaving at season's end, they have 4 more races together, and Bobby told me this morning they would love to run the table and win all 4. This is a brand new race car. They tested earlier this week, Monday and Tuesday, at Atlanta. He said it was lightning fast. They cannot wait to take this race car, which they hope in less than 10 laps will be a winning car in this debut, to Atlanta and go for 2.
Saw that race for position there, Greg Biffle and Kevin Harvick.
With 5 laps to go. And I tell you what, Bobby Hamilton Jr.
Blew it right front. Blew it right front. The 99 did.
Michael did.
Oh, my goodness, the race leader. 5 laps to go.
Oh, man.
And they will not probably stop it under red,
No
right?
caution, bud. No caution.
Caution hasn't come out yet.
It definitely will.
It has to now. He stopped on the race, off the racing surface, but inside the corner. Michael's getting out of the car. Now the caution comes out. Oh, so much heartbreak. That's unbelievable.
It's like Darth Vader.
He's probably about as unhappy as Darth Vader right now.
We saw him slowing and blew the right front, looked like coming out of the trioval.
I saw him coming off turn 4, and I looked at Hamilton Jr. was right behind him. That's the shot I saw, and I said, man. And I started to say Hamilton Jr.'s gaining on the 99 about that time, and then that right front tire disintegrates.
That's the first right front problem we've seen here, this track. This weekend, I should say. Maybe not ever, but this weekend.
Yeah, certainly not ever. We've had that here before. What a tough break for Michael Waltrip.
And for every action, there's a reaction. Bobby Hamilton, what a great break for him.
Happy days.
Bobby Hamilton has definitely worked as hard as anyone today to get to the front, and looks like he's in position to win another one this year.
They are past just to confirm what you said, Jimmy, they are past the point at which they would use the red flag to stop the race and try and ensure a green flag finish.
See Harvick on the apron of the racetrack. I wonder if he's concerned about running out of fuel.
I would think so. The only reason he'd be down there to stay on the flat, keep the pickup buried in fuel.
Yeah, because sometimes when you get on these banks of these racetracks, the fuel will run away from the pickup, and you'll run out. But I don't know if he's that close or what he's doing down there.
Stunning turn of events here in the late laps at Kansas Speedway. Michael Waltrip looking like he had victory well in hand. Loses the right front tire on his car at 6 laps to go. The caution out with 5 to go. And now they're trying to get a quick cleanup so we can have a last couple of laps sprint to the finish of today's race.
Luckily for Michael, that thing blew on the straightaway, and it wasn't, 300-400 yards further going into turn 1 wide open.
Dave been talking about 29 and his fuel.
Yeah, I just ran down here and checked with them, and they say definitely. We're trying to go 86 laps on fuel, so we're saving everything I can, trying to get that pickup leveled out.
86 laps. My goodness. He needs every lap of caution, and he's out of fuel. He just doesn't know it yet.
Running on fumes.
He's running on fumes. Man. And he was making a run on Greg Biffle in that 7 car just before this caution flag came out.
By the way, what I was checking on when Michael had his problem, Biffle is not on the lead lap.
Well,
that was not a pass for position.
Oh, he wasn't. I'm sorry.
That was my bad.
I thought he was too.
Yeah.
So, we're getting set for a restart. I believe we're going to get the 1-to-go signal here at the start-finish line. And the green is going to come out at the white flag. And it's going to be a 1-lap, 1.5-mile sprint to the checkered flag.
Wow.
19 cars on the lead lap.
I guess the lap cars would probably, you'd see a lap car between first and second. He'll probably drop back, be a single file start with all the lead lap cars nose to tail.
Okay, now we're being told that there was a scoring issue with Greg Biffle, and he is, in fact, on the lead lap.
Well, I didn't understand how he wasn't on the lead lap, but...
That's why I was so puzzled. Yeah. Apparently, the electronic transponder on his car that trips when you come didn't trip one lap.
Oh, okay.
So they have manually corrected him with the manual backups they keep in the scoring system. And he's in third. They're setting the 19 lead lap cars up single file at the head of the pack for a 1-lap sprint to the finish. Coming up shortly on NBC Sports, Road to the World Thoroughbred Championships. Those of you tuning in expecting to see horse racing, you got an exciting finish to a car race first. And we'll be getting out to Santa Anita shortly to Tom Hammond.
Jimmy, I'll bet you that Bobby Hamilton Jr. does not start early. That would be my guess.
You think that he's learned his lesson?
And explain to us why you think that?
Because he did that early in the race, was black flagged, and almost lost a lap. Almost cost him this race. So
that was back at lap number 118. He was the leader and jumped the restart.
I bet Harold didn't even have to say anything on the radio.
No, I'm sure he's all too aware of where the restart point is.
I'll bet he didn't have to, but I'll bet he did. At least once, if not more.
This is the way to rally back. If he's able to hold off David Green for the win and make good on what happened earlier in the day, everybody forget about it.
All right, here we go. Pace truck is off.
It's somewhere in there.
Somewhere in the vicinity of.
Yes. Okay, good start. Good start.
Hamilton Jr., David Green, Greg Biffle, Kevin Harvick, Jason Keller, the top 5. 1 lap to go at Kansas. Green to the inside. The Junior's in trouble. Into the wall in turn 1.
Oh, no.
He either missed a shift or ran out of gas.
They have not called for the caution. So they'll race back to the finish line because of where Hamilton Jr.'s car is. They're going to let him race back to the stripe. David Green is going to pick up the win.
It is, from what I understand, the rule is not supposed to happen that way. I'll be very interested to see how this plays out.
Third win of 2003 for David Green, and they get the caution flag at the finish line. Here's the thing. All right, Mark, go ahead, Matt.
They asked Bobby Jr. what happened. He said, dude, it fluttered.
Gas?
Or vapor locked.
Vapor locked. And you know, as cold as it is, you wouldn't think, but there's so much underhood temperature in these cars that it boils that fluid. Marty.
Michael Waltrip has come from the Infield Care Center. Let's start with what happened to you. And did it have, obviously was a tire, did it have any prior indication it was going to go down, Michael?
It started shaking a lap before that a little bit. Better judgment told me I should just pull over, but it happened so quickly I thought I'll run it through one more turn. I came off 4 and told him on the radio that I had a tire going down, but I didn't slow down enough and it blew out on the front straightaway. But one of those deals, I guess we just ran it a little bit harder than it needed to be run and injured the tire on our Aaron's Dream Machine.
The man who led the most laps today will not win. Alan.
Michael Waltrip led 140 of the 200 laps today.
I'm confused on this.
Okay, here's the deal. You were right. If on the last lap the caution comes out, you stop racing and the race ends immediately. But because of where Hamilton Jr.'s crash was, the field basically was by him before they would have called for the caution. They let him race back.
But you're not supposed to race back.
They didn't put the yellow out.
Yes, they did. They waved the yellow before he got back to the line because I watched that.
And this is, I know, in NASCAR's defense, this is one of those situations where we're going to have to work with it and see what happens. But when the caution comes out, you don't race back, and then they got to figure it out.
Yep.
And they're still talking about it in race control.
David You got a finisher down there.
Well, I got a second place guy. That's Kevin Harvick, and I know you wanted to win. What happened to your car at the end?
We were out of fuel at the end, and fuel pressure went down to 0. We just got too tight. We were off just a little bit compared to the 99 and the 25, but good day for the Sonic Chevrolet.
All right, guys, confirm out of fuel at the end of this thing.
Gonna get the runner-up spot.
86 laps. There's no wonder he's out of fuel.
Yeah. We saw Bobby Jr. when he took off. He had a great start. Looked like he went for 3rd or 4th gear going into turn 1, and it slowed up. So maybe out of gas himself. I mean, but we thought he was good with fuel.
He's pretty agitated right now. You can tell that. Finishing results, David Green gets the win. Kevin Harvick second, Biffle, Parker Jr., and Ashton Lewis with a nice top 5.
Go back 11 through 20. We'll see Wally Dahlin back in 15th. Lead lap. Bobby Hamilton Jr. will be credited with 19th.
And he fired the car up and drove it back around to finish that last lap.
Riggs in 13th. So David Green had a lot of good luck today.
Yes, he did.
Still looking for the 5 of Brian Vickers.
Where is he? Next page, maybe.
And Michael Waltrip finishes 24th. There's Vickers. 32nd. Man, he was the championship leader coming into the day. And that's how they ran today here at Kansas, Dave.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. was so close. Bobby, what happened in the last lap?
It fluttered, it wouldn't go. I cleared it out 3 or 4 times, and it just fluttered and it wouldn't go. And David, you know, you want to know how you win a championship, be as lucky as that man. I figured Green be bad luck, but I guess if he wants them that way, he can have them.
Green on the car, green in the name. He was the lucky one today, not Bobby. Matt?
And David Green pulls in the victory lane, so Green is good, especially here at Kansas for the 3rd time this year. And this is a huge win, especially after what happened at Dover. First off, let's talk about that last restart.
I about ran into Bobby Jr. I was watching Biffle back there to try to block him, and if Todd hadn't have said go or something like that, I'd have ran right back in the back of him. But man, what a big turnaround. Dover was obviously a low point for us, and these guys never give up. And Bill Davis has been good to us all year on our engines and DI on the big stuff, and can't thank Teresa and all those folks enough like they need to for big races like this. This is how the only way I could run with Michael, you know, for once I could go down the straightaway with him. So what a great effort. These guys, we had some problems right here, and they bounced back, but got to say hi to Diane and Kaylee and the kids and wish they were here, and we did it, baby.
From the lowest of lows of Dover to the highest of highs of Kansas, David Green's in victory lane, Alan.
And the championship even closer, now with 6 races to go. Jimmy Johnson, thanks for spending the day with us.
You got it. Thanks for having me up here. I had a great time, and hopefully I didn't mess you guys' show up too bad.
And good luck tomorrow on that low Chevrolet.
Thank you very much. I see that the garage door is shut, so my guys have gone home.
That's a good thing.
And we're in good shape.
Good luck to you tomorrow. NBC coverage tomorrow. NASCAR Winston Cup racing at Kansas, 12:30 Eastern Time. Hope that you will be with us. We'll start with Discover Card Countdown to Green. Wild finish here today. David Green is the winner. And we're all done racing cars for one afternoon. Now let's go race some horses. Off to Santa Anita Park and the road to the World Thoroughbred Championships. Here's Tom Hammond.